Fight, 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 fight.
Oh shit!
We're live. We're back. Hello. Welcome
Hi, everybody.
to another episode 1 of Wrestling on the Rocks. That's right. Where every show is our first show because we cannot get it right. And by God, you'd think we do it on purpose. But we don't. We don't. I am Marsh. You can find me at Ref Marsh. Who do we got over there? Kevlar. Want to go ahead and say
Kevlar on the rock. The next.
with an X. And who's that doofus over there?
Hi, I'm Kevlar and Klump, or Kevlar and Klump on Twitter. What's going on?
All right, somebody fire Mr. Hankey.
Yeah, what's happening?
Tired of this already.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I know everyone did already, guys. Sorry.
Did I fuck it up? Did I already fuck it up?
Oh, jeez, I'm sorry.
How you guys doing? It's been a week. It's been a week. It's been a lot happening this week. Also, you will notice if you are a follower of us on twitch.tv/wrestling on the rocks, we've started gaming a little bit on the channel. That's the actual use of it. We just happen to host our podcast on it. But we thought, hey, we're here. We're living in it. We might as well explore it. And we are actually reasonably close to going partner as long as we just game a little more. So we're thinking we're going to go ahead and do that. So probably two to four times a week, we'll probably plug in our controllers and play a couple games. I played 2K20 yesterday. We were playing South Park. We played Limbo. Some weird games. And when 2K Battleground comes out, we're definitely going to be playing a shitload of that. Apart from that, there was just a shitload of wrestling happening, right?
I'm just surprised
Yeah.
the producer here. I'll be the person that's not on the screen off the side. It's really surprising for it being, a time when there are no fans in the audience, that there's so much happening.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, we could talk about that for a minute anyways. So, unless there was something you guys want to talk about just going on, as far as introductions go, if that was okay with you guys, we can move into some of the show.
I totally spaced on how much wrestling there was, and then Saturday I was like, wait, it hit me to and it's gonna dove into a producer throughout, but yeah, it hit me in the middle of the weekend. This is a lot of things. It felt like a WrestleMania weekend.
It did kind of seem WrestleMania weekend-ish. So there's one thing I wanted to bring up. As long as we're talking about how crazy it is, all this stuff is happening in the midst of a pandemic without crowds. Something I wanted to bring up was a lot of chatter I've seen on the internet. I want to see what you guys think about this as well. Dorkchop is already in the chat. Dorkchop, whoop whoop. He is making our chat great. So if you guys want to come on through and see all the new cool features our chat has. Also, find us on YouTube. And, cheers to Dorkchop. Oh, I got to pour a drink. We didn't even do the drink. What's in your glass? What are you drinking?
You guys just jumped into it. I've been trying to bring it up.
Just god awful.
You need to turn off that audio.
I'm trying. There we go. It's off.
Christ.
It's going to go well.
This is great. That was the producer doing it. Hey, the producer here. I'm watching other YouTube videos. All right. Kevlar, what are you drinking?
Drinking some Blue Moon. Keeping it simple.
Klump, you've got to stop that.
Yeah, he's blowing bubbles in a coffee.
We literally talked about this already.
It sounded like he was
making other noises. We didn't talk about this one specifically.
It's going well.
Kevlar, what are you drinking?
Good. Blue Moon, still.
Blue Moon.
Blue Moon, keeping it simple.
Do you put your own orange wedges in it when you drink it at home?
I do not. My orange tree hasn't had any oranges yet.
So it's just a regular treat.
Yeah. Just a small little shrub.
Yeah, there's every reason to believe you planted the wrong thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of spikes on it. It's weird.
Yeah.
What about you?
I am drinking. Whoa!
Yes, you are drinking.
I'm drinking Jameson. Still not sponsored, but you wouldn't be able to tell by the amount that I drink of it.
I didn't use the credit.
I haven't finished with the card. I can't find it. You've hidden it.
Oh, okay.
Wherever that credit card is of the thing. I need to finish the second part of the survey. They need another 40 minutes of my life to get this $20. I'm having Jameson. Except it's not regular Jameson. It's the stout edition. Whiskey finished in craft beer barrels. I think that I only had the IPA one, right? So I'm trying that one out. I'm not having it on the table because they have not given us the cease and desist nor the sponsorship. So we've got this cool little barrel that Kevlar gifted the show at one point. Guys, cheers.
Still look like a cat butthole.
It does look just like a cat butthole if you're watching. Lollyenda 23 in the chat. What is up? Yeah, I'm having it straight, Dork Chop. On the rocks.
Oh, sweet. Thanks, Dorchop. Gifted a sub to...
I was told specifically today to not use the money gun. I was told I have to stop. So, we'll see.
You've been grounded.
Yeah. Yeah, it was all like, the producer's all like, it's cool getting subs, but the money gun, I was like, wait.
Oh.
What is that? Let's see. Oh, wow, look. Nightbot is even talking about it. This is all crazy. If you're listening to the podcast, this is chaotic, I'm sure. We're learning Twitch. We're trying to figure it all out. We've done very little to figure it out. I've literally brought on someone else, a regular in the chat, and I'm going to have to start gifting him stuff. If he likes memorabilia, I have things. We're going to have to figure something out.
Yeah, we've been on for over a year, and we're still...
Yeah.
We still got poker chip?
We got poker chips still. I was going to make new ones, but it was getting pricey the way I wanted to do it. So we still have other ones. We'll find the one that's signed or something. Let's see. Yeah, and... Yeah, Klump's drinking coffee.
I'm drinking coffee. I only wish we had that Jameson coffee brew that I can't find anymore.
Really? I mean, you could have told me that 4 days ago.
Okay.
The reason I say 4 days ago is that I've been using that Flavier membership, and 2 days ago, it renewed for a full year, and that made me very upset because it's a lot of money to be taken out of your account out of nowhere. And so I canceled it. But before I canceled it, I happened to look to see what was available, and that was still there. I remember thinking, is that still limited? Does people still have it? And I thought, yeah, forget it. I'm canceling it now. I'm shutting it down. So I shut it down. I'm getting my money back. It's not what it sounded like. I left they said, tell us what you didn't like, and maybe we'll gift you something. I said, the fuck you will. So I left a paragraph of, here's what you guys are doing that's deceitful and dishonest in your way of presenting yourself. They've gifted me nothing. So
You're too honest.
They're not ready for it. They didn't know who they were asking.
They're like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, you think I joined up because I don't go through a shitload of whiskey? Let's do this. Let's talk about this.
As you're surrounded with bottles.
Not everyone's familiar with your brand of love, which is anger.
Pointless aggression. Yeah.
Find our shirts on our website, yeah.
Yeah, go to WrestlingOnTheRocks.com, hit the shop, buy a shirt.
All right. Let's get
Yeah,
it
so
together.
sorry. The chat is insane. It's awesome. Dork Chop's #1. And Kevlar, what were you going to say?
How do you like the Jameson Stout?
I'm letting it cool off a little bit.
Cool off, but was it warm?
It was very warm.
Oh.
And Jameson, it's good.
I like the Stout. That's the reason why I was asking.
You haven't had the stout yet?
No, I have. I really like
You have?
it.
You really like it? I'm letting the flavors do its thing in my mouth right now. It does seem to have kind of like a really sweet like undertone, but it does still have that whiskey bite at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I totally taste the butterscotch. That it said on the label. I was like, yeah, fuck that. There's no way it's gonna taste like butterscotch. Totally could taste it.
Wow.
That was a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I know, but you're having coffee and you wanted something else, so it's my drink now.
Yeah, your bottle now.
Did you want the? I mean, there's a little bit in there because I got a whole barrel over here. Did you want it over there?
No.
No, you don't. All right, fine.
I'm doing stuff. No. Thank you.
Doing stuff. Let's see.
So, anyways, where were we going?
Anyways, Nightbot's talking about me rapping. Dude, Nightbot's insane. Our chat just went nuts in my mind. Okay. So I think we got the pleasantries out of the way. What are we drinking? I need a cease and desist. I need free whiskey. Make it happen if you know anybody. Also buy a shirt because that also will pay for my drinks. Or you can subscribe to the channel and that will also buy me a drink. So,
Or
let's
just send us
see.
a bottle of whiskey.
Oh yeah, Dorkchop, keep it going. He says he's testing all these commands he's making to see how they go, and so I just keep looking down, being like, "What? It can do that!" So, anyways, something I wanted to bring up because it was already brought up by the producer. People have been talking a lot online, and you hear it in a lot of different shows where it's always they want this thing to happen, but not now. And it's, oh, that was a really cool thing to happen, but wasted without a crowd. I keep hearing this kind of narrative that everything's being wasted without a crowd and, oh, wait, put this off until the crowd comes back. And I wonder, I mean, for one, personally, I feel like you can't have your cake and eat it too, you know? Mm-hmm. If we want these stories to progress and we want to remain invested, is it really our place to also say, oh, but it could have been better because there aren't people? Or should we really just wholeheartedly accept that this is what we have for the foreseeable future? We honestly don't know when it's going to be any different. Yeah. Do we just accept it as this is what we get and be okay with that? Or do we continue to complain about the little things? Like, oh, can you imagine if there was a crowd? Well, you also can be really excited without a crowd, right?
Yeah. Well, the other thing that's nice with that is, you know, a lot of times the crowd, while they're there, they're tweeting stuff out and, you know, giving spoilers away.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, I haven't seen that as much.
Yeah, nothing's getting leaked. No one's been right about anything, which I think is amazing, yeah, and I think awesome. It's so good. It makes me so happy these dirt sheets are just falling to pieces, flat on their face, every one of them. Well, this is definitely going to happen, and then nothing like it even remotely happens. Go, well, they probably changed their mind. Now they're not even guessing anymore because they just have no fuck. They nothing. They got nothing, and they're still wildly guessing, and they're still wrong more than us. That's why you should have a drink with us. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Dorkchop says in the chat, if there were no stories, then no one would watch. So I'll take what I can get. If they just put on matches every week, then viewership would drop much more than it already has. Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree 100%. I think that, I mean, that's my gut. That's how I feel. To try to minimize anything that's happening as, but where's the crowd? I think is incredibly unfair to ourselves and the talent. What do you guys think?
Plus, yeah, I agree with that. Plus, I feel like in this time where we've had no crowds, we've seen a lot more exploration and a lot more non-traditional wrestling components to our shows. And if you did the Swamp Fight, if you did the Firefly Funhouse match, if you did the Boneyard match at a WrestleMania for 30 minutes to an hour, I'm going to take this 60,000 person crowd and have them watch a monitor. How the hell would that go? Or I'm going to have it skip over and then they have to go home and watch it. How would that go, and how would fans react to that? And I don't think fans or, you know, the marks would be happy with that. So I think in this time in exploring these different types of matches, these different types of storytelling, doing these different cameras and all of this, that's been amazing. And we couldn't have done that without what's happening here. So it's a real silver lining to me of what's happening. It's something that, you know, when or if things go back to where we can do shows in stadiums, maybe we need to maintain an occasional pay-per-view or event that's done at the PCC. You know?
Yeah, I wonder how you'd integrate that stuff back in later, right? So let's say we go back to having stadiums, and it's like, okay, well, maybe on pay-per-views you don't do the cinematic matches, maybe you do them on Raw. But I've also been to live Raws, and those videos, when they put them up, usually the audio's not quite right.
Yeah.
Like, the video doesn't kick in right away. It's really hard to hear anyways in the whole arena. It's not really mic'd the same way. It's just coming over speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with the subtlety of someone like a Bray Wyatt, I don't know if it's going to fly at all with any arena. So maybe you do, from time to time, just put on a pay-per-view of cinematic matches. Maybe.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like
the pre-show.
Or all the pre-shows, yeah.
But I think in that, like, I was thinking about that too. And yeah, I could see that, but in a sense, then you really got to differentiate what the pre-show is, because there is a stigma to what a pre-show is, you know, like, oh yeah, it's this. Well, make it bigger. And then also for certain matches, like, you can make main event matches we've seen be done in this style. It's really hard for me to, you know, I can see it being something awesome, but I could also see the argument, well, it was just in the pre-show. And that's stupid because, you know, for a lot of Fiend stuff, these cinematic matches are amazing. And I never want them to go away. And I feel like if we do something on a pre-show and it's like the Fiend versus, I don't know, you know, Goldberg or some big crazy match, like some other big crazy match, and they use this and they make a really amazing match, but it's on the pre-show, and you're going to hear that comment, well, it was on the pre-show though. Well, fuck, what do we do?
Yeah, and then we get to the point where me and Kevlar are always complaining of, can you imagine being in the live audience during that? I mean, if we bought tickets for a pay-per-view and we found out the Fiend match came on before we even walked in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you can always just do network exclusives. Like they've done with like Night of Champions and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, it's gonna be live and you know, you can go watch it whenever you want. But I think that might get more viewership to the network.
Yeah, you start having network exclusive matches after the show. Like, so how all the pay-per-views always have, like, oh, tune in afterwards for the debut of Chronicle and the debut of 24, all that stuff. Start having, like, tune in live on the network after the pay-per-view for the next edition of Firefly Funhouse.
I have an idea. What about for your ticket holders? On the ticket, it has a QR code that gives you access to one of the matches early, and then they say, tomorrow we're going to play the match for everyone. But since you bought the ticket, you get access to this early, so that after you leave, you get out of Raw, you go home, you go to your hotel room, you can see that match, that last match right then, because you got that ticket, because you invested. I'd be cool with that, because then everyone else gets to see it the next day, or even like you get it before, like, hey, you with your ticket, this QR code's active now as a gift to you, and it's to like something like Twitch or something where it's like a stream, so that you might have some people try and leak it, but WWE's really good at knocking down people pirate streaming their stuff, you know?
Yeah, I think it'll leak. Cool. I think it would leak so fast.
You could just film it. You know, it'd be like the bootleg movies where somebody goes in with a camera into the theaters, but
yeah,
I think
but usually they knock those down so fast now. I think it wouldn't be too bad.
Dorkchop saying he disagrees. What do you disagree with?
He's not. He's trying out the command.
Okay.
Yeah, if you say disagree, then Nightbot says, I don't think you're correct, but I respect your opinion.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
And I said, go fuck yourself, Nightbot.
Yeah, Nightbot's being a dick. But even then, Nightbot was being very politically correct, or not politically correct. He was being very diplomatic. He goes, I don't think you are correct, but I respect your opinion.
He's being a
So if someone says, I disagree with you, then we, as a show, will say, you disagree with us because you're wrong, and that's okay.
Can we get an asshole bot?
Yeah, our bot's too nice.
Yeah. It's just, fuck you, you're wrong.
Yeah. Little command says disagree. It just says, can you imagine, like, if the command is like disagree and it like just auto kicks you out of the channel?
Yeah.
You just got booted. I disagree.
Your husband bad.
Dorkchop does say, though, he really does hope the cinematic style matches stick around because it's been so fun and creative. That's kind of my point, too, is that we're in this realm where it's like they have to be more creative. They have to do things outside of the box. They have to be able to do things that they couldn't do with an audience. And those are the things that we're really getting and loving. And then they also can't stop the whole show and only do those things. So, like I said, I don't think we can have our cake and eat it too and say, let's get all the cinematic matches we can and these are all going to be amazing and incredible. And then we'll just have regular matches that don't mean anything until it's all over. No. They have to mean something. People have to get big wins. Records have to be broken. Championships have to change hands. Like, people have to have those big moments. Otherwise, why are we all still watching when we could just, they just said they're not going to do anything. We'll just wait until there's a crowd again. They're waiting. You know what I mean? Like, I think it just kind of goes against the whole thing. And I don't think it's fair to us. I don't think it's fair to them to say that any of these moments are wasted without a crowd. You can feel kind of bad for the talent in hindsight, but in that moment, you should kind of just give off all the positive energy I suppose you can, right? And I think that we're also still in an area where people, including us at times, have been harsh about the way they're booking certain things, and we're seeing too much of this person and not enough of this person. Yeah. And we're still neglecting the idea that it's not that easy still.
Yeah, they're in a bind.
They're in a bind when it comes to people, anyone testing positive, having to be off for several weeks. Yeah, you know what I mean? A lot of stuff we don't know, some stuff we do know. People just traveling in general. My hunch is Sami Zayn is not in the country, and that's a good chance on why he's not anywhere near it. Just because I don't think it's easy for him to get back. But I don't know. I don't know. We're all making guesses because none of us know. And I think that sometimes we can be a little harsh saying, like, why am I seeing Andrade again? Where it's all like, well, because he's there. And they really don't have a ton of people. So, of course, we're going to see Andrade and Garza against Street Profits 600 times because that's who's there. So, let's see. We got a little bit happening in the chat. Let's see. There's a Klump command that says Klump has the best and most correct opinions. The Nightbot broke. Nightbot's broken. It's glitching.
Dorkchop's asking, did you guys plan to wear the same Moxley shirt this week? I just noticed that.
That's cool. I haven't gotten to that part of the chat yet. Oh. Let's see. Nightbot is the Bruce Pritchard to my Vince McMahon, says. And Lunar's back in there. What up, GR Lunar? He said, sup, fellers. And he thinks Kevlar Stash is bitchin', and I quote. And then Dorkchop asked, did you guys plan to wear the same Moxley shirt this week? I just noticed that. That's great. I hadn't heard that.
Oh my gosh.
How'd that happen? What happened, guys? What made you guys decide to wear a Moxley shirt today? Because I will tell you this, it was not planned. There was discussion as we were doing everything in the beginning, getting everything set up, all the audio, and then it was like, well, shit, do we change? Like, how'd this happen? Well, you're the only one who has visual. Kevlar can't see us. I can't see the monitor. Klump and you are the only two people who can see. I'm looking at a blank wall. And Klump says they're attacking.
Yeah, K and capital K.
Dorkchop's asking if I have one under the stripes, and believe it or not, the one that Klump is wearing is one I delivered to him. So,
yeah.
I put
this on because I felt like I had to. You know, like when your aunt gives you a shirt, and your mom's like, make sure you wear it in front of your aunt. I wanted to wear one of the shirts you gave me.
Well, so you hate the shirt, you're just wearing it because you're on the show right now.
Yeah, but that's why I keep that Bad Dragon pin out.
Yeah. I do really like it, though. I like the color.
The what? Of the pin?
I like the colors.
Of the shirt?
The shirt.
Yeah.
You like black and white.
And orange.
Yeah. No, it's great chromatically.
Okay. Alright, so
Are you saying you don't like Mox, dude? Give it back then.
I do like Mox.
Alright. So
oh shoot! An anonymous gifter just gifted a sub. Oh my god!
You're dropping everything on our set.
Dropped everything. I banged my knee up real good.
Thank you, whoever gifted that to GR Lunar.
Yeah. Pew, pew, pew. Sorry guys, no money gun. I was reprimanded for using the money gun and making quote a mess. It's bullshit. Bullshit.
But you picked up after yourself, right?
No, I'm not allowed to. I'm told to get the fuck out of the room immediately. It's, you've ruined everything, get out. That's how the show ends. So Kevlar, what made you wear a Moxley shirt?
I decided to wear it because I think the Fighter Fest was better than both nights of the other shit, whatever it was called.
Whoa.
All right.
What was it?
What was just regular
on Wednesday?
Extreme Rules? There was no pay-per-view on.
No.
It was just NXT.
No. What AEW did 2 weeks ago for 2 weeks.
Oh, AEW did Fighter Fest, and now they did Fight for the Fallen?
Okay, yeah. That's right. Fight for the Fallen was better than Fighter Fest, in my eyes. So I was trying to give them a little shout-out.
Nice. No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Because normally I shit on AEW. So.
Yeah, no, we were pretty mean to them last week, and I felt kind of bad about it.
And the week before. And the week before.
Previous weeks, and I mean, if you've listened to all of our first episodes, I feel bad sometimes. Let's see. So that's what I was thinking about, the wasting moments without a crowd. Do you guys end up feeling that at any point? That, like, do you watch a thing and say, well, this sucks because there's no crowd, or do you appreciate it for what it is?
I'll say this. I feel it more with AEW than WWE. I don't feel like AEW has done as well at creating the diverse moments where I'm like, okay, I don't need a crowd here, which is weird because they've been the ones that have always had people there. And I feel like WWE, before they had a crowd, or before they had their staff there, but in using the cinematics, of hell, when they had Triple H and Michael Cole fucking around.
Yeah.
I feel like they handled this better. And this is not me digging AEW. I like AEW a lot. I want to like them more. I feel, however, like I do miss a crowd at times in their shows because their shows so far structurally beg for that crowd. They beg for that interaction that's more apparent, and it's not there.
Did I talk about that last week when I met Cody and he talked about his brother? Did I bring it up last week? I don't think so.
Mentioned that in a long time.
I was thinking about that too, though, because when I met Cody, it was right after Double or Nothing, and I went over to him and I told him, I was like, I want you to know that yesterday I was not a Cody Rhodes fan. And I was like, but today I am. And I was like, I want you to know that you did your job incredibly well, that I did not show up to this event. And I was like, I know this isn't a popular thing to say, but I did not show up to this being much of a fan of yours. And I was like, and that's just how I showed up. And I was like, but you absolutely won me over. And he kept kind of interrupting me, and he was trying to pick up, and he said that I wanted to do that for my brother. I did it for my brother. It's like, my brother's never been able to perform in front of these fans. My brother's never interacted with these fans. I wanted my brother to experience our fans. And he kept talking about his brother and the fans and that relationship. And it kind of occurred to me that, yeah, that's been AEW's big thing, is that their fans are incredibly loyal, incredibly forgiving, and just shower them with love wherever they go. And, I mean, you can't fault them for wanting to be a part of that, and you can't fault... You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a cool thing. So it also, at times, you think that, well, can I really fault them for trying to cater so much to them when they feel like they're getting this unconditional love? How do you not try to cater to those fans? You know what I mean? As much as we give them a hard time for not inviting in new fans, I mean, there's something kind of poetic about the loyalty they have to their intense fan base.
Yeah.
Dorkchop says in the chat, AEW shows were built around popping that live audience, correct? All shows should be to an extent, but WWE is built for TV. AEW was still really there for the ticket buyers at the point where it went away. Yeah. Yeah, I
agree with that. Yeah. AEW has, like, it was built, I mean, the Elite were built on getting reactions out of fan bases and really, whether it be in the small indie hall where they don't have the ability to create, these extra segments, or in NJPW where they're not going to get much backstage time because most of the interactions backstage are in Japanese. They do a fantastic job at that, and we're just, I think they're maybe struggling the most to accommodate what's happening right now. They're trying, and that's awesome, but it's weird sometimes.
Yeah, WWE is definitely a TV production show, and AEW is definitely still a live event show. Kevlar, do you want to go ahead and put a bow on this topic? What was the last thing you were going to say about this?
I was just going to say, basically, with Dork, they need to have a product to put on TV, or else it's going to get boring and people are going to walk away. So to say that, you're wasting pops without audience is, to me, just absolute nonsense.
100%. I totally agree. Totally agree. Let's see. Dork Shop. In a music analogy, AEW is still that up-and-coming young punk band playing in smoky rooms for adoring fans and haven't hit that next level of stardom, and maybe don't need to and maybe don't want to, for better or for worse. Yeah, like kind of a Sex Pistols vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Ramones. The bands that really didn't know how to play well, but they still got people to come to the shows.
Wow.
I thought you were going out. They were gonna kill their partner. And
you want some real heat, I guess.
What? No, there's no. Is anyone from either of those bands still alive?
Yes.
Can you stop?
Is that true?
Stop.
I'm gonna get heat then. I thought that it was all done. Let's see. Dork Chop says, I mean, in a sense, yeah, Marsh, as much as I love them. All right, now that we've said all of that, and we've said these nice things about AEW, let me tell you about Tony Khan on Conrad and Eric Bischoff's podcast. Did you guys hear this?
Did not.
No.
Don't know where you're going. Hit us.
Good.
Well, okay.
Hit me with it.
Come on.
People listening can't see their expressions, so when they're shaking their head.
You guys were shaking your heads. You guys know I can't see you.
I said no.
Oh my god.
Also, there is one surviving Ramon from the original group.
Yeah.
Which one, Mark?
Yeah.
And he's coming for me.
Yeah, he was the least popular. No one was giving him stuff. No one was trying to party with him. That dude was left alone a lot. That makes sense.
Alone.
What? Dork says Bischoff is such a prick. I can't listen to his podcast. Yeah, I don't listen to all of them. That's for damn sure. Sometimes he comes off really prickish. I do like his abrupt nature at not feeding out information he doesn't have or know. Sometimes Conrad will bring up a topic and say, oh, this is what's going on with this, and this is what the rumor says of that. And he'll just flat out say, like, I didn't have anything to do with that part of the business, so I don't know. He's like, oh, what do you think this would have been? It's like, I don't know. Like, he just won't, he's not going to entertain it. He's not going to put out information that he doesn't truly believe in, which I can respect that bit, but I don't always listen. But what I was trying to listen to was Tony Khan was on there, and it was like, oh, Tony Khan and Eric Bischoff meeting for the first time. It's like, that sounds kind of interesting. Let's see how that goes. 6 minutes in, I fast forwarded for another 3 minutes, and then listened for about another 20 seconds and turned the whole thing off. It was so crazy. At one point, Eric Bischoff says, can I say something? Can I just say something real quick? Because Tony Khan just would not shut the fuck up. And he came off as such a simpering fan. Like, I want to say Mark, but like, I feel like that's even different. And he just kept saying he would be remiss. I wrote it down because it was insane to me. He's just like, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. He goes, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Eric Bischoff was the greatest businessman that ever had anything to do with the wrestling business. And he just kept going on like with that. And you're like, okay, well, he also ran. He lost.
He ran into the fucking ground. Yeah.
Yeah, he lost. And then, so he's like, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I wasn't excited to see Eric Bischoff. And Eric Bischoff is such a great business person, and he's one of the greatest business minds that's ever been in the wrestling business. And I idolized Eric Bischoff, and kept going on and on. Then he started saying, like, as they even start to say something like, thank you, but they don't even get it out. He was like, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Fight for the Fallen being for charity. It's definitely a charity show. Check out our charity show. You should go check out our shirts. Buy a shirt at our charity shirts. The shirts are for charity. Make sure you check out the shirt charity, the charity shirts, the shirts for the charity for Fight for the Fallen. Watch Fight for the Fallen. Get the shirt. I should have been wearing the shirt, not wearing the shirt. Don't know why I'm not wearing the shirt. Great shirt. Great shirt. Shirt's great for charity. It's a good charity shirt. Buy the shirt. And at one point, everybody was like, can I say something? Like... And I was listening to it just being like, could you say anything else? Just stop. I couldn't handle it. He just sounded like a kid. And like I've said before, he's kind of a hero because of that. But I'm also not going to listen to him for 2.5 hours. Just tell Eric Bischoff he's the greatest person that ever lived and keep saying that everything he does is for charity because he's trying to really drive home that his company does everything right always and every other company does everything wrong always. And I feel like it almost undermined the charity aspect, the way he was pushing charity so hard. It was like, are you doing this for PR or are you doing it for the right thing? Like, to spend 5 to 6 minutes repeating this is for charity? We heard you. We heard you, buddy. Dorkchop says, Marsh versus Tony Khan at Fastlane. Book it, Vince.
I would almost be more curious if we're going to do this to hear Shahid Khan talk about his ownership. Like, because that's, like, Tony's father is co-owner. Tony's father, realistically, is the owner of All Elite Wrestling. If we're going to talk about, like, somebody who's an important businessman in sports, that could be fascinating. It might be interesting to hear Eric Bischoff and him talk, if that were a willing thing, you know?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think that'd be really interesting. I'd also like to hear someone interview Shihad at all and just say, so what the fuck, man? Like, you just gave a shitload of money to your kid and now he did this? How do you feel, man? like, like, did he get a jumping castle every year for his birthday too?
You know he did.
That was big ballin' where I come from.
Yeah.
So much so that Kevlar will get jumping castles for his kids for their birthday, and I go over every time he does, and I spend the night because I'm going to play with that for the whole time. What time does it go back? What time does it go back? They're picking up like 10 in the morning. Okay, so we stay up all night then.
Yeah, we got this. Get some coffee. Let's go.
The guy coming to pick up the next morning. I don't mind that, like, the adults are in it, but can he not be in it? It's full of vomit and Jameson.
Mm-hmm. But I'm the champ. I'm a champ.
I just picture them, like, rolling and folding up with deflated bounce house, and then they're like, "What's this big lump?" And they just kick it, and, like, you kind of, like, slump out. I was on the moon all night.
I called it down the middle.
That was the first rep in space.
All right, so we can move on from that. I just thought it was really weird the way Tony Khan was. Let's see. A real quick plug. Cesaro has new espresso beans. If you go check out his Twitter or something, I believe you can find a link to his espresso beans.
Just say his Twitter or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? Post a link? We've retweeted it. Follow us on Twitter. We'll retweet his beans. Cesaro beans coming to you.
Yeah, it's a whole...
They're called Claudio's Cafe.
Yes.
Yes, Claudio's Cafe espresso beans. And
Espresso.
you can find them at legalspeed.coffee/Claudio's Cafe.
Yeah, hell yeah. So support that guy. We got ourselves a coffee grinder. We're thinking we're going to try out the espresso machine we've had here for like 3 years that we've never opened. We think now's the time.
Yeah.
Now's the time to open it,
You've
learn
had
it, become
espresso
professional
machine
baristas.
for 3 years and you've never used it?
Never used it.
It's now or never.
Dorkchop says same as his Twitch name. Cesaro's got a Twitch name? Yeah, we've had it for years.
He does have a Twitch, yeah. He has a whole Instagram.
What brand is it?
All right, well, okay, we're not plugging Cesaro anymore. That was as much as I'm doing for him.
Okay.
All right, he's not putting us over.
No, he definitely doesn't like me.
Yeah.
I got heat now.
Yeah, you got heat from Renee now. Our Twitter went heel this weekend.
Definitely went heel.
She's out there talking mad shit, trying to stir up shit with Renee, Corbin, and Cesaro.
I was not. I didn't know they were going to react as they did.
Yeah, well, we're not blocked by them yet, but I think we're on thin ice. Let's see. Let me see. Okay, so the other thing I want to bring up that was in the news, and maybe, because we've talked about this stuff before, is let's talk about it briefly. Joey Ryan put out an hour-long video excusing all of his behaviors and blaming everyone but himself. I didn't watch the whole thing, but that's the gist that I got out of it. It also came off very heavily scripted. He sounded like he was reading cue cards. Sounded like he'd rehearsed it and practiced it 100 times. He shaved off his mustache, which it seems like, from what I can tell, he actually just misplaced his mustache, and Kevlar has found it.
Yeah. I'd be careful, Kevin. That's cursed and probably illegal. You probably have several huge amounts of evidence all over your face.
I have to register as a sex offender now.
Yeah.
Well, let's not make that an audio clip you can pull.
All right. Come on. Move this along.
Come on.
So, just to say about the stash, it had nothing to do with Joey Ryan, obviously. I was
This is his formal apology.
Yeah. I didn't shave for a while, just growing shit out, and then my son, who's obsessed with Mario, said, leave the stash. And I was like, all right.
Did you walk out of the bathroom and just go, "It's me, your dad"?
I did, actually.
Yeah.
Was he excited or did he not like it? Because that would have been...
he was so excited. He gave the Mario peace sign and everything. Okay.
Did you? I like his son. You have never seen it, Klump? His son runs like Mario. He puts his arms behind his back and leans forward and runs as fast as he can. It's incredible.
That's Naruto.
He does.
Yeah, it's like very Naruto. Let's see. Nightbot says Cesaro puts over everyone except for us, but we still love his beans, which is true. And Dorkchop says there's no chance in hell I'm watching an hour-long Joey Ryan video. Mr. Team says I feel sorry for Ryan. Sat and you watched the whole thing. Someone had to report on it.
Yeah, his clip notes were so long.
Yeah, I mean, how do you snippet all this? But I saw a couple clips here and there. There was even one. So I saw one clip that really stood out to me as I think this is all you need to know, where he mentioned someone specifically, and I forget the name, and I apologize, and I don't know if it's all that relevant because the story's the same. Where he says to the person, "I know when I said that you were young enough, I'm old enough to be your father, I feel guilty flirting with you." He goes, "It was a joke, but it was also half true." And he's like, "But I also didn't really flirt with you until you were 18, which was crazy that he went so far as to say that." But then he's all like, "And then when I cornered you in the hotel and asked to make out with you, the important thing is that you said no, and I respected your no and did not push it further." And I was like, so your whole thing is, yes, I was creeping on you for years up until you became of legal age. The important bit being that I didn't actually rape you. If that's your stance, you've missed it. You've missed the whole thing. Yeah. And I also...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that just sounds bad.
Yeah.
From top to bottom, like you said. Hey, I've been creeping on you for years. You were underage. I waited for you and cornered you in a hotel room. You said no, and I walked away. So I'm a good guy.
Yeah. I did the right thing. Well, yeah. I guess you could have done a worse thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that he's all like, I could have gone much further. It's like, well, you shouldn't feel like you could have.
Yeah, I'm really glad we never supported him.
Yeah.
At live events here. Because a lot of times he would come through town and there was always one person we would want to see, but then when we would see him on the bill, we were like, I guess not. Alright, what's happening with your headphones?
I can't hear anybody.
Oh.
I just lost connection.
Okay, so... Alright.
Oh, God!
Woo! Woo!
Oh, God!
In that call.
It's just that easy. Oh.
So easy, a caveman can do it.
Yeah.
How did it, everybody?
We did it. We're back. I think. You guys tell me. Dork Chop in the chat, keeping it happening. Swear there's 1 week it won't happen. When that week happens, it will be episode 2. So we'll see. Audio gods are displeased, having technical difficulties. For those of you listening, you might not. Hopefully, you'll notice very little of a bump there. We lost audio, all of it. It was great. But Dork Chop was selling our merch in the chat, so that's good. That's a good way to go. Woo!
Thank you for pimping our shit out, Dork Chop.
Yep. Let me see. Where did we leave off?
So.
Joey Ryan.
Yeah, we were talking
Sorta.
about Joey Ryan.
Were we still on that, or?
Yeah. His hour-long.
Yeah, but did we wrap it up on it, or no? Not really.
No, I didn't get to talk.
Kevlar was about to.
Oh, you didn't get to talk. Let's flip it to Klump then. Go ahead, Klump. What do you think?
So, like, what I was gonna say, and what really frustrated me with what Joey Ryan did, and honestly, I wanted him to disappear for a while. Just, we don't need to hear about you for, honestly, ever at this point. Or if you're gonna come back, you need to come back and first and foremost own what you did, and not do this. And this is literally the worst thing ever. This is like so many of these upsetting events where people that we care about, look up to, enjoy, connect with the artists behind them, we find out have problems. And rather than own it, which is the first part of getting better, they blame, they divert, they throw away, they do so many things, and it sucks, and it's bullshit. And, you know, I really didn't need to hear Joey Ryan's name in this capacity. It's just like when I heard Louis C.K. was doing comedy again at Caroline's, and his first joke was essentially about what happened, and it didn't go well. It's like, yeah, you need to go away for a while until you learn what you really did, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also funny to me. Good. Sorry.
I was going to say, he popped up back pretty quick. I mean, and to boot, the whole thing was about, about his Patreon. You can continue to support me on Patreon, and I have things over there, and I'm going to put up more information on my Patreon, so go there. And it was like this hour-long disgusting commercial for his peddling shit. And I also thought he shows up with no mustache, which was also, to me, just funny, because it's all like, you're trying to do everything you can to, quote, not look like a creep. But the problem is your face is still there.
I didn't recognize him without the stash, but like I said, I just never supported him.
No. Well, what also frustrated me too about, and this goes back to the character itself, it's upsetting because in a space where we hear so many people talk about how they feel like they, that things are hypersensitive. I didn't find his gimmick that bad because of how it was portrayed. I thought he did a lot of things well as a gimmick, and I found it always funny that the people around me that were so anti-wrestling and bemoaned all the negative things it did to women and to sexualize people, and how it was so, base sense of humor, liked him, which was always weird to me. And
always weird to me.
Yeah, and it really hurt for that person to be knocked back, because to me, he served in many ways to be a bridge in for people. Yeah, that sucked. That we had this chance and you took it away. You stamped out a lot, and I think those same people, unfortunately, that I remember having this interaction with a guy who he owned a paper here in town, like one of the off-color papers. He was telling me how excited he was to go see Joey Ryan and stuff like that, and I was telling him about the show and the podcast. He's like, "That's awesome! I'm gonna go see it." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And I found it a little bit weird, but also like, "Oh, it's cool that you're seeing it." And then after that, sure enough, I'm sure that the response would be, oh well, now this is the perception of wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah,
Just,
I mean, I always thought there was something off with that character in of itself, and I used to tell you too. I didn't like it or understand how he got away with it. But it was also still jarring to me that he was part of the whole thing too, because it's like his whole thing was being upfront as a gaff, and everyone was like, "Oh, but he's not like that at all." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it was to me a little jarring because it was all like, to me, I was the one questioning, saying, "Why is this dude behaving this way if this is what he's like?" And everyone else was telling me, no, he couldn't be further from it. And then to find out, actually, he is exactly that. It was all of it was kind of nuts to kind of take in. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and evidently so many people really that were around him that he built up and kind of created this perception of what Joey Ryan in real life was, that so many people when this came out just were hurt. Like, it's, the kind of real tragedy of it is the amount of people who, got into wrestling, got into the character, and then found other people through this, and then this is their avenue in, is kind of fallen away from them.
Yeah. Kevlar, what do you think?
Oh, I think you guys nailed it. I said everything I was going to say beforehand, and, just, it's so weird that his character, was all about, the dick grab or whatever you want to call it, and, it was always sexual, but in a creepy way. And now, like you guys said, it comes out and, well, his, character is a little more true to life than what they were leading on to.
Yeah. And he came through our town, and he worked with talent that I knew. I remember specifically there was this one really young girl who'd gotten into wrestling, and I filmed her in a pretty decent match at RWA down at Rialto. And I remember after seeing that match, I followed a few people from that, but she was one of them because I was like, man, she's so young. She's got a lot of skill here. She's really honing in on that character. She might be huge one day. And so I started following her, and then I saw it was just a matter of months later she was doing a match with Joey Ryan, and I was like, oh, I don't like the look of this. Like, I just didn't like the feeling of it. And I was like, well, but everyone tells me he's cool. And now I look back on it, and, I mean, she didn't know me well enough. I couldn't have said anything at the time either way. You know what I mean? So it's not like a hindsight. I could have done something different. Not really. You know what I mean? But there is that hindsight of like, oh, man, that gut feeling hopefully didn't actually come to fruition,
Yeah.
Is she one of the ones that are coming out with allegations against him?
I didn't see anything posted by her, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think she came out about anything. So I mean, there's that. Hopefully. With that in mind, we do get a huge week of wrestling. We had AEW, NXT, Smackdown Live, Slammiversary, Extreme Rules, and Monday Night Raw. Boom, all of that. So what we decided to do for this week is a little bit back to the way we had when we first started watching everything, including NWA. We're going to go back to doing like tops and bottoms, top 5 of the week, our favorite 5 things that happened this week, and our least favorite 5 things that happened this week as well. So we can kind of talk about highlights and lowlights, and whatever happens to be floating in the middle, then maybe we just skim right over just to get more of the content in, and to focus on the things that really need improvement in our mind, or the things that they really need to keep doing. Did you want to go ahead? You said what?
Sinkers.
Floaters and sinkers?
I like to call them our floaters. Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, I don't like this. No.
Ugh.
No.
Yes.
If
we're doing the poo scale on texture and whatnot.
No.
Yeah, the solid to sloppy.
No, go back
match.
To farts. Yeah.
The fart ones?
Yeah, you can do. Was it crop dusted or was it a little?
Yeah, like you go all the way from just a straight up old man poot, all the way down to the leg running
straight up
beach disaster.
And we're losing viewers.
You asked me to. I didn't want to.
It
That was-
started with Kevlar.
And then you fed into it, and I'm the one. I have to head this ship.
We lost.
I thought we were pandering to Corey.
Yeah. Klump, you're still there, right?
Nope, he's gone. It's just. Oh, he's come back. I think he's coming back.
He's back. Kevlar, did you want to start? Let's start with a bottom, because I think we're always doing tops then bottoms, and I think we ended up always ending on a low note. So let's reverse that. I think, right? Is that how that works?
Sure. When
Yeah. So let's start with the bottom. So Kevlar, bottom 5. Did you have anything? We'll just start from show. Did you have anything from AEW in your bottom?
I mean, one of the things I have on my bottom is Omega, and the simple fact is his character's like in an awkward position right now. He's attacking people after the matches. He's not a defined heel or face, and to me that's at my bottom right now.
Klump, you want to take it?
For bottoms, for me,
Klump,
Orange
no,
Cassidy.
Did you listen to what he said?
I was reviewing the show. What's up?
Kevlar's bottom on AEW was Kenny Omega, and saying that he feels like he can't tell if he's a heel or a face, and that he's attacking people after matches, and he feels like he's really floundering. Did you want to discuss that? Because I know it's something you were talking about earlier this week.
Yeah, I think I can get that. Like, I feel like it's a weird medium to be in. I think a lot of people want to see Kenny as a heel come back. That's me included. I think he is a fantastic heel. So, but it's something where they're trying to bring it out, I guess, slowly, and show that frustration, show like, well, why? And so that's why you had him, I think they had him do what he did, where he, started fighting someone after, and then everyone kind of pulls him back because, like, whoa, dude, they're our friends. But I think it'll always be a little bit, like, kind of messy to do it.
Klump, are you browsing the internet right now instead of thinking about what you're about to say?
No. I also think, like, my hope is that they pull it off, and, like, it's a weird entrance for it, but I hope that they pull it off and follow through with it, because, like, with Adam Page, I liked the weird way that they were throwing out. Everyone was kind of struggling with his behavior, because it wasn't just like, it wasn't like, oh, this guy's drunk and it's awesome. It was like, this guy's drunk and people are concerned, or he's drinking, people are concerned and the fans are pushing on. It was kind of neat, and then they just kind of stopped doing it. And that might, that's partly due to COVID, but I think it could be, I think it was a neat idea, and I just hope with this they follow through with it,
I'm going to say, no, we don't know, because you were kind of all over the place in describing what you're talking about, Klump.
That's fair.
You seem super distracted right now by your own computer, which wouldn't otherwise bother me, except for you brought up good points about this earlier this week, and you've creatively dodged all of them.
All right,
Right.
So Klump was saying, and something that Dork Chop brought up in the chat a little bit here, is that they've been teasing the cleaner teases. They've been teasing Kenny Omega's teaser or cleaner. God, Klump, look what you've done to me!
You have a stroke? Try again.
It's contagious.
They've been teasing Kenny Omega's cleaner gimmick from Japan on being the elite. George Chop wants to see it produced better and on TV. You were talking about how that's your favorite iteration of Kenny Omega's when he was a villain in Japan as the cleaner, and that you see this limbo as more of a larger story arc of, here is a floundering Kenny Omega who can't quite get his footing. Here is a Kenny who can't find his place and isn't being the greatest that the world's ever seen like he was touted when he showed up. So it's creating a frustration within his character, who's lashing out against people smaller than him, but he's also got this overly confidence where he comes out with his t-shirt on. And he's now in this limbo where we're expecting a snap. We're expecting something to happen that's going to have him ultimately be the clean. I don't know if he'll be called the cleaner or not, but ultimately that we could be transitioning into a larger storyline of a Kenny Omega storyline.
Can you say things for me from now on, and then we'll just attribute it to me?
If you don't get off the internet, I guess. So no, I do understand exactly where Kevlar's coming from, with it seems like a really frustrating place to be. But Klump's belief, obviously, as he stated so clearly, is that this is part of the overall storytelling mechanism, and that that's exactly how we should feel about him. Which, if they pull it off on the other side, could be incredible. If they shit the bed with it, it's going to be just another shitty thing that happened.
I think there's a lot of good behind it. As we've gotten away from it, and thinking about it today, that's the thing that comes to mind automatically is, man, I really hope they don't drop the ball on this. Man, I hope they go forward with this, and that, like, next week it's not like, oh yeah, everything's cool, and we just continue doing this, like, oh yeah, it's really cool, like, everything's cool, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, Koro just popped in the chat.
Yeah, Koro just showed up. Yo, the sound quality is better than last wrestling stream. Hell yeah, dude. Our last week's audio was garbage. Yeah, I had a hard time, and Klump sounded like he was living under a bridge, and I think he's finally got some furniture in the house. Dork Chop says, being the elite, being kind of shitty had charm until it really became a crucial story mechanic in their weekly television show. But I think that's also it. And Dork Chop saying being shitty in terms of production and tech and such, which I 100% agree with, but I disagree with the idea that it's truly vital to their storytelling. They don't understand that you can't use YouTube as your crucial mechanism. That when they lean on YouTube that way, all it does is create a mass confusion amongst anyone who's not devoting their time to Googling Young Bucks videos.
Yeah, unlike NWA, who only used YouTube. That made it just really easy.
Yeah, you knew where you were going.
Yeah, everything you needed was right there.
Yeah.
You didn't need to go elsewhere. You didn't need to go on Twitter. You didn't need to do anything. It was just, hey, stream YouTube. Yeah, stream YouTube, and that's it. You'll understand.
I also really like that Koro comes in after we had that huge shit of audio. Our whole audio thing crashes. He jumps in the chat and he goes, dude, your audio's on point. And it's all like, thanks.
I thought he was talking about 10 minutes ago, not last week.
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
He missed the shit show.
Yeah. Deb Shep in the chat. Hello on an ad break here. Time to listen to this. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming through. Cheers, Deb.
Cheers.
Dork Chop saying, if anything, put it on the official AEW page with dark episodes. Upload it to both channels.
Is it not on both channels? What idiots.
I really think that...
I know we're bad at this. But I don't have a contract with TNT.
Yeah, they can't.
We acknowledge
us,
it.
Though. That's the thing. We're nobodies. They're now somebodies.
Hey, I'm getting buried by the producer here.
What?
Yeah. We need to see. Dork Chop says, hire me, Tony Khan. Yeah, Dork Chop needs to be running their stuff. He's revolutionized our chat.
Yeah, Dork Chop knows what's up. But maybe that's getting all your friends to be the producers, and you can't.
Yeah, that's worked out great.
Stop it! Oh God! You can't just have volunteers doing professional production because, it might be the case that not everything's as smooth.
Yeah, smooth, baby. Dork Chop just gifted out another sub.
Still no gun?
No gun. She's not letting me do the gun, dude. She cut it off.
If we get any more subs, I'll just fill my pants and
yeah.
Right.
I'll just do.
Let's see. Klump, do you have a bottom from AEW?
Yes, I do. That's what I was like. What's my bottom? Right. My bottom is not specifically the Orange Cassidy dropping orange juice on the Inner Circle. That wasn't too bad. What ruined it for me was fucking the member of Proud and Powerful just continually fucking around on the floor, like flopping while no one else is having to fall, and
No one's
keep
doing
going. Like he's like, oh, I need to do this for everyone collectively. And it was the most maddening, dumb bullshit to me. And that was when I texted you and I said, I'm not defending AEW this week.
So there's two things that I want to know if you noticed in that moment, because this is on my list too. Jericho and Orange I put, because in all actuality, every interaction Jericho's had with Orange Cassidy in that storyline I've absolutely hated, and it really comes off to me like Jericho's trying to be an old man, proving he's still hip, he's still got it. He says fetch. He's trying so hard to fit in, and he's not trying hard enough to influence the younger talent into being a long-lasting talent. He wants to prove he's the cool guy. He's the oldest motherfucker in wrestling right now, and he wants them to think that he's just one of the guys, one of the young kids. Telling Marco Stunt that they told him the same thing about his size when he got started is not fair to Marco Stunt. Because you take a picture and you're literally 4 times his height. Like, Marco Stunt comes up to his waist and he goes, they told me I was too small for this too. So you got a shot. And it's all like, no, he doesn't look like you, dude. It's different. No. But, all that aside, Jericho looking like an old man trying to be cool, old man getting a nose piercing. It's embarrassing to me to watch him at this point and listen to him. However, the thing that got me, I want to know if you noticed in there, was Santana's flopping around like an absolute idiot. He reaches up to his partner, and his partner pushes him off of him. Like, get the fuck away from me, dude. I'm not doing that. Then, at one point during the promo, Jericho says, stand up, you idiot, and gets pissed at him. He was like, knock it off! Like, he got mad and snapped at him, and I loved it.
Like a parent, like, yelling at their kid.
Yes. You're making us look stupid.
In public, where you can't make it too obvious that you're really tough.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Like Kevlar in a Costco.
Yeah. Get up! Quit touching that shit!
Yeah.
We get in the car and beat the fuck out of you!
Yeah. Doorchop says Ortiz is a saint and I don't care. And he added a mechanism where if he says shill it, our bot says, yes, Dorkchop is a total AEW shill and won't apologize for it, so get over it. But I think that's also fair. Because, I mean, honestly, the whole idea of the show is to have a discourse with people who disagree with us, and we all still love it and smile and have a drink. So, yeah, I love Dorkchop is shilling for the company. I love that Klump gets adamantly frustrated with the company when it does anything he doesn't like, because he goes, you're supposed to be the chosen one.
No, he's like, more like, fuck, I'm gonna have to talk about this. Can you not make my Tuesday shitty?
Yeah.
Occasionally I like to make dinner before 11 p.m. Can you quit fucking up AEW?
Yeah. You don't understand, guys. When AEW started, I don't think we knew of a bigger show than Klump.
Oh, it was great, yeah. Everything he did, and it became a thing where it was all like, Klump, defend this shit. And there were times where he's all like, I think I can. And it was like, cool. But see, that was also the thing, is I always wanted him to be able to. You know what I mean? Like, the core of this whole thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I just remember the one time you and Kevin both rather drunk going off on me as I'm just sitting there with my hand under my chin, just so fucking done, not even talking anymore. As you guys are just going back and forth. Well, this bullshit, and I'm just there. It's like, you good?
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't need to say anything. I just want to go home.
Yeah.
I want some more chicken and to go home.
Yeah, I want to say it was actually about Kenny Omega's booking, if I remember correctly, too. It's like, where's this great fucking Kenny Omega? And he's like, I swear to God, he's good. He's like,
give Kenny a chance.
Yeah.
Sorry, real random. Producer here. Someone had asked on, socials, on I think Twitter, like, what's the most memorable AEW moment you can think of? And I immediately just put the picture of Cody and like that.
Yeah, I don't think there's a second moment, right? What's the most memorable moment in all of AEW to you, Kevlar?
I don't know. I can't think of anything.
Klump, what's your most memorable moment?
From this week or overall?
Overall, the entire history of AEW, what stands out to you of going like, this is AEW, this is a thing that happened there?
Cody and Dustin hugging covered in blood.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the picture she posted.
Mox running out at Double or Nothing. Mox DDTing Kenny Omega at Double or Nothing. That was cool because just the set piece of it.
Yeah, the set was nice.
Hangman and Jericho facing off for the title when they're like ready to fight each other. That's cool.
Yeah. Kevlar, on second thought, all of AEW history, anything stand out to you as like the single big AEW moment?
The only thing I could think of that wasn't mentioned was Cody destroying the throne.
Cody and the throne. But you also could say something that was mentioned if you also thought... Because I thought it was funny, too, when they said, what's the single biggest AEW moment? I'm like, oh, well, it's Cody and Dustin. I don't think that's a question. Yeah. I don't think there's a second thing that's happened that's been that impactful.
And I think...
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, that is what we measure.
Yeah.
Everything. Once they started with that, we thought, oh, shit, they are going to elevate wrestling, and this is what we can expect. Moments like this. This made us feel something. I think that's something that is really important to recognize, that really made everyone feel something. And when's the next moment that's made us feel something like that?
Yeah. Let's see. In the chat, they say Mox versus MJF. Did that ever happen? Has Mox fought MJF?
Mm-hmm.
They did? When?
It was I don't know when, but yeah, I can see it, yeah. I was also going to throw MJF throwing that legless dude over the top rope. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah, that was funny. Let's see.
Oh, no.
Let's go back in the chat just for a quick second. Dorkchop says, at least I know it's garbage. I 100% understand why Klump is face palming this. I was doing the same during the demo god part. That whole fucking ratings promo really was like...
Yeah.
And now here's the other thing, though. I thought about this. I considered this as an option. Did Jericho actually become the greatest heel in all of wrestling? Because he's gotten to a point where I can't fucking stand him. Am I completely being worked? Because I thought his whole thing was he's trying to be loved while being a heel and didn't make any sense. He's gotten to the point where he's just so obnoxious and shitty with everything. And I expect so much better out of him that I'm wondering, is he the greatest fucking heel of all time? Because, I don't like him at all.
I fall into Dorkchop's idea, but also I want to say, if you're going to start saying this, I might have to hit you because I think we had this discussion where I said, he's working it. He's just like Shane McMahon. And you were like, no, it's so shitty. And I was like, yeah, I know, I hate it too. Like, I agree with Dorkchop 100%. He's working people, but God, I fucking hate it. And
I do.
I don't necessarily think it's him fully working. I think part of this is him maybe almost being on cruise control. Like, yeah, I can be this easy, I can do this easy shit, or I can do, reference old things, and I'm just tired of it. I want something new.
Yeah, I also think, as horrible as it is to say, I thought Shane McMahon was having better matches at the time than I think Jericho's having now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Taking better bumps.
As much as I was like, yeah, you guys hate Shane and want him off TV, but that's totally his gimmick. And if you really think about that storyline, it all culminated in Kevin Owens firing Shane McMahon, and we have not seen him since. So it really did push a year-long story of how do we get Shane off of TV in a sense where he puts over a ton of people. And he put over Daniel Bryan and Sammy and Kevin, and I think Roman Reigns was involved, and he put over Drew McIntyre. He put over Revival. They used his clout to put other people over and make them look good, and had him ushered out in a way where everyone was cheering when he disappeared, as opposed to people being sad when someone disappears, right? So I do think that he was doing better matches at that time than I feel like Jericho's putting out now. I feel like when I watch a Jericho match, I always feel like, come on, man. Although Dorkchop brings up a great point in the chat.
Here we go.
He said, but Shane McMahon is the best in the world. So he says you can't compare them. And I think that that's fair to say.
Can I take away subs?
What?
Can I take away subs for that shit?
What are you talking about? I'm a woofer, man. I'm all sub.
The blown woofer. But I was gonna say, I think Jericho is the Nickelback of professional wrestling right now.
Okay.
Where?
Okay.
Oh.
Hold on.
Well, hold on.
No, hold on. Let him go. I'm hoping he takes this in a certain way.
Okay, go.
Go ahead.
Because I think everyone's completely shitting on him for what he's doing and where he's at right now. But there's a lot of people really liking it.
He's still selling out Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and they don't want to admit it.
Yeah. Nobody likes him, but they sell out every fucking show.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's definitely, there's an argument to be made that Jericho is the Nickelback of many a thing.
I was given these tickets by a friend. I might as well go, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing
My friend
it for
just
my
had
girlfriend.
My friend just happened to have these VIP tickets, and I have to go hang out backstage, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not gonna enjoy it, but unfortunately,
I might as well like bring this shirt that another friend gave me. That's got almost all of them signing it. Yeah, it's an old tour shirt, and yeah. It's got.
So Dorkchop says in the chat, you could just say the same thing about Fozzy, and it still applies. It's fucked up.
We really like Fozzy.
I like Fozzy. I'm not denying it. I like it. I almost wore my Fozzy shirt today instead of my Moxley shirt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to produce or promote Jericho.
Yeah. So the Jericho and Orange Cassidy, all of it, I have not liked one bit. I don't like that Orange Cassidy comes out and quietly puts his thumb down and there's a million gallons of orange juice. I was like, okay, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's not the worst thing. I don't like Jericho on commentary. All he does is scream. I feel like Taz and JR are incredible together when no one else is bothering them. I feel like Jericho brings out the worst in everyone else. But also, I didn't like the whole like towel thing. Like, how obvious and stupid was it the whole second he gets it? Give me a towel, give me a towel. He gets a towel and he immediately starts carefully unfolding it like, oh, it's going to be a big picture of Orange Cassidy. And then it was, and you're like, oh my God. Like, they're not being that clever. And maybe that's part of my problem is they're being so obvious.
Yeah.
Dorchop's bringing up a thing. Did you see the Jericho Twitter beef between Sebastian and Bach? Did you guys see this?
I did not.
No.
So I can't get that into it because I only heard about it because I was listening to the latest episode.
Isn't Sebastian Bach like dead from 400 years ago?
What?
No,
there's two of them.
No, oh gosh. No.
That's the other one. There's a new one.
He's also a composer?
So my only exposure to this story is from the Jim Cornette podcast, which I don't listen to every episode, but I was really curious to hear what he had to say about the FTR versus Lucha Brothers match. So I heard that, and then they broke down the Chris Jericho and Fozzy stuff. And if it was like a tweet or two, I'd say, oh yeah, we can talk about it. But they read every tweet, and it's like 30 tweets back and forth of them shit-talking each other. It boils down to Sebastian Bach saying that Chris Jericho is Milli Vanilli and purely lip syncs at every show. And Jericho saying, dude, I thought we were friends. And ultimately, he literally said, don't talk about my rock ability. And then Bach's whole thing was over and over again. It's like, just show me footage where you're not lip syncing. It's fine. You can just show me footage when you're not lip syncing. That's all I'm asking for. Everything I see is not. And then Jericho was all like, well, we can have a sing off. So it was like a whole fucking thing. They went back and forth forever.
Sounds exhausting.
Do you think this is an AEW angle?
No. I think it's a Sebastian Bach saying, fuck that kid. I think is what it is. I think Bach is tired of Jericho for whatever reason, and I don't know why. But it just from the sound of it, I suggest checking it out, reading up on it, because it's really fucking funny. They're really going back and forth, and they sound like children on Twitter, and you're like, do adults do this? I feel like if I had sent a tweet to Klump, and he responded with one of those responses, I would have called him. And been like, oh, dude, what's going on? We're in a fight.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what I mean?
Are we doing this? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I drive down there? I mean, we'll stay 6 feet apart, but I mean, should we yell at each other in person, maybe?
I think we're just.
I got a wooden dowel for you so we can hit each other.
Yeah. Yeah. You punch the mailbox, I'm going to punch the tree.
Yeah, we adult too much outside of Twitter.
Yeah, it was wild.
We don't care about Twitter.
Oh my god, dude, Twitter is not a real thing. And it's insane to me the people that take it so serious. I've seen probably a dozen posts this week of people saying, I took the weekend off of Twitter and it was really good for me. I feel a lot healthier. And I was like, what are you doing on Twitter? Like,
Yeah. I know.
yeah, and then a bunch of people were like responding with like, you really got to sometimes. You just have to unplug and get rid of a lot of that negativity. And I was like, you understand that you curate your own social media, right? You're allowed to block and mute everyone you want.
I love that you them so much.
It's incredible. It's like, oh, this person's an asshole? He's gone now. He doesn't exist in my world at all.
Yeah.
That's it. Now they're done. And so for people to say like it gets to them that on that level, like what are you doing?
There's a lot of there's a lot of mechanisms that let you create your own fun little world.
Yes.
Like you don't need to like you got family that decided they want to start going off on something politically you don't like. Cool. Unfollow their shit.
They're gone.
They don't know that you don't see it. You don't have to hear it. Cool. The only downside is you occasionally have someone who like calls you and says, "Did you see my post on Facebook?" And you have to like do what I do here and phone in that you read it.
Dude, a couple years back, there was a family friend who found me on Facebook and friended me. And I hadn't seen them since I was like 12. But they were around a lot for a period of time. And the first thing they post, when I posted something where I was at like a convention or something, I don't know, it was something really basic. And they responded with something along the lines of like, I see that nothing's changed at all. You're still basically a 12-year-old kid. And I looked at that and went, all right, well, you're back out of my life. And I just blocked them. And that's it. And I was like, okay, that's done now. This is probably the first time I've thought about it since it happened. Where it's like, yeah, no, when people are just in a way where you just like, I don't think you are good to communicate with me anymore, you just stop it.
Yeah.
That's the best part about the fake internet. Dorkchop brings up he'd like to see Bach versus Jericho versus Tyson in a triple threat. What's good about that is Jericho has said, it's not up to anyone else in the ring on if he has a good match or not. It's only up to him. So it would be amazing according to him.
Yeah, the thing I was going to mention about blocking a random person that tries to belittle you is you're not going to make us feel ashamed of being fans. And that's pretty much the whole gist of our show.
Yeah.
You're going to be a fan of anything and cool. We're going to argue and drink about it. That's pretty much it.
We're going to argue. We're going to yell at each other. We're going to drink. Yeah. We're going to go as ridiculous we can. When I showed up for my first day of work at the place, the reason Klump and I started talking is I showed up with a fanny pack shaped like a World Heavyweight Championship. And when they asked me to say something, I said, the only thing that can be said is hustle, loyalty, and respect, John Cena. And I did this. So it's like, immediately Klump's like, who the fuck is this guy?
Did we just become
friends?
Yeah, did we just become best friends? Because Klump's sitting there going like, I've been living in secrecy and shame of this my whole life, and you just walked in here with a title belt and told everyone John Cena's your hero. So,
and nobody
is this our truth?
Yeah. Let me introduce you to little Timmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move along. Jericho and Orange Cassidy. Was there anything else left either of you guys wanted to say about that bit?
I just don't like Orange Cassidy.
I don't like him at all, man.
Nothing.
I don't like him in this spot on the card. I think Orange Cassidy's fine as a bit character. I think Orange Cassidy's fine as like, he's got a spot in a thing, you know? He's R-Truth. That's awesome. I'm okay with that. Arguably, you have too many R-Truths in your promotion. It's fucking weird for him to be, like, near the top of the card. And you're like, yeah, there's other people here who are really fucking good at this.
No, he's not near the top of the card. He's playing with Jericho. Jericho tries to attach himself to whatever's the hottest thing right now in his mind. He needs to be near Orange Cassidy because he thinks Orange Cassidy is very popular. He's feeding off of that. I'm also young and cool and I get it. I get Orange Cassidy. I'm cool. I get it. I'm not one of the old timers who says, "What's this?" I'm cool. He's attached himself to Orange Cassidy. It's not the other way around. And mind you, they're maybe booked towards the end of the card, but they are not putting on top of the card performances at all. This is middle card shit, which Jericho has been perfecting his entire fucking career.
Yeah. Fair.
I just got heat with Jericho, I think. Fuck. I think Jericho's going to be pissed now.
Also, for the record, Orange Cassidy doesn't lip sync.
He
doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he doesn't lip sync, though.
Oh, that's a good point. He does not lip sync. I put you this in my man.
Alright, so those are the bottoms. We're doing tops.
I didn't. Okay, so me and Klump both had the same bottom, so we'll do that. We shared a bottom again.
The first, not the last time.
That's a punished spot.
So I have one thing in my top 5 from this week on AEW, and it is FTR versus the Lucha Brothers. I thought this was the single best Lucha Brothers match they've ever had. It was the most sensical, even though there was definitely bits of nonsensicality, because I don't think the Lucha Brothers can help themselves. I don't think the refs have any actual authority, and I don't think that the FTR is largely being listened to by anyone in the back to a large degree. I think they were allowed to put together their own match, and I think that they were met with a lot of resistance, just based off what I'm seeing. I have no fucking idea. I don't know anybody back there. But I have a feeling that this was the compromise of FTR trying to have a good match with a team that has a completely different style. We've seen them do it before with like the Usos. They put on incredible matches with the Usos, and their styles are nothing similar. And I think this is the best that you get out of it. And I actually think that it worked out really well, and I fucking loved that finish. Created a ton of heat for them. They're still getting heat today. I saw tweets still coming out about how pissed people are about what FTR did. What do you guys think? Kevlar, we'll start with you. We're starting with Kevlar.
Okay. Me first. I liked it. I did. I liked both tag teams, and I thought they did an amazing job. It was a little sloppy at times. Lucha Brothers missed a couple spots.
Yeah, dude, they were having a hard time working together. They slipped on a few things they were doing together.
Yeah, the tandem offense would look shitty at times.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if it's because they haven't, I don't know their schedule. I don't know how long they've been working together, but it seemed like they took a break and it showed. They came out a little rusty.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I liked everything. I liked both tag teams. And, I liked it. It came out well, and I'm curious to see, what else they can do from here on out.
I actually believe this is the best tag team match I've seen in all of AEW so far. I truly believe that. I know that a lot of people think that Adam Page and Omega versus the Bucks was the greatest tag team match ever in wrestling. But it wasn't really a wrestling match. That was really a gymnastics routine with a ton of high spots, and it was a total spot fest, which is fine. It's cool to like that stuff. I get it. But there was not a lot of psychology. It really wasn't going anywhere, and it was just how many crazy things can we do to each other for how long, which is a spectacle, I know. And in and of itself, it got a ton of great crowd reactions, and I get that. But you watch that match and you think, oh, what a crazy thing that person did. Where you watch a match like this and you think, oh man, fuck that team. I hope this other team gets that. Oh, that dude's an asshole. Like, you're getting involved in the people in the match and not the moves that are happening within the match. And that's why I think it was the greatest AEW match they've put on, or tag team match they've put on.
So it was creating some emotions for you.
It was creating it was creating an investment. It was creating a want of win and loss. It was creating even a reaction to a strike. Oh man, that guy's getting hit. Oh fuck, that guy's gonna lose. You know what I mean? Like, that was happening. Where in Young Buck and Kenny matches, I don't ever get to that point. I just think, oh, okay, we got about a 30-40 minute spot show. They're going to do a bunch of crazy moves, probably about 3 to 4 false finishes, and then we'll get to the end. And then you watch it play out that way, and you go, yeah, that's what that was. And it was a great showing of athleticism every time, but I never get the chance to be invested because of the way they do the moves themselves.
Okay. Klump wanted to jump in.
Klump is going to jump in. Dorkchop disagrees. But he's being a jerk right now. I don't know why.
You're fired.
No. Don't make him go. I need him more than you.
I'm out.
I wouldn't say that this was the greatest tag team match in AEW to me. However, I would say I think the Revival or FTR is the greatest tag team in AEW. I think they're the greatest tag team period right now. I think they are showing that in that they're working these different styles. I think the second, what's unfortunate, the second greatest tag team to me in AEW is probably Page and Omega. Because their matches are not pure spot fest. They can do different things. And if nothing else, it might be because Hangman Page can't do pure spots. I've gotten so tired of Bucks versus other team where they're just going to do things. They're going to do synchronized, like it's capoeira. It's, it's not fighting, it's dancing. And there's something for that here and there. But when your entire match is a series of that, it's not great. And I can also say, as a shield for AEW, who loves these big pops and spot moments, those are the matches where I feel like they hurt AEW because your fans get tired because they're watching this and it's just spot after spot after spot after spot, and it gets boring. And the next match coming up after, it's like, oh yeah, and it just artificially inflates things to me.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's good about Kenny and Page as well is they're actually one of the teams that have kind of a story happening, where a lot of their tag teams do not have any kind of story happening. So it's easier to tell those kind of things as well. I forget the other bit I was going to throw in there, but probably not that big of a deal. Maybe about spots or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to bring up the spot. When it's a huge spot show, you end up showing people clips of moves instead of saying you have to watch this match. You go, oh, let me find that move. You have to see this thing. And matches like FTR puts on are matches where you go, you've got to watch that match. Like, you don't even tell them. Just go find it and watch it. Where with, like, Bucks versus Lucha Brothers, you're like, oh, let me fast forward and find this thing where they go off the top and into this thing. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's crazy. How can people do that? And you watch it and you go, oh, wow, that's nuts. Like, yeah. And then you put your phone away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a big difference there.
No, I agree with that.
Did you see the whole thing with Young Bucks and the Lucha Express, Jurassic Express, all holding each other up in a big pyramid? Marco Stunt does his thing, and then everybody falls?
Yeah, and...
It was weird.
Yeah, it's just like it's unnecessary. It's silly. It's of late. I've seen way too many in AEW and in WWE matches where we set up the powerbomb superplex combination. Where you have guys at the top rope. The other team's going to superplex him, and then somebody comes up under them and powerbombs everyone. And that's cool when you see it once, or once in a long while. But I feel like I've seen it almost every match that's the tag match lately.
Yeah,
and it doesn't look great. And then also a lot of the times too, it's like, yeah, that person can't fucking do that. Ricochet can't do that. Jungle Boy can't do that. If they could, then why the fuck aren't they at the top of the card?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And it gets like Big E can do that. I think that could be Big E's spot. Is like, oh, you're gonna do this? Cool. I'm gonna fuck everyone up because I'm Big E.
Yeah, I can push everybody, but
maybe Luchasaurus, but a lot of these you're like, yeah, you guys are all small, but that doesn't mean you can lift a bunch of small people. You need a big one to lift a bunch of small people.
I was surprised at how clumsy Luchasaurus looked. He looked like he could do stuff, but not great. Like he needed to practice stuff more. Like he's just out there too soon or something. But I know he's been training for a really long time. But like his strikes were really weird and sloppy. It was weird because I like him.
Yeah, no, I think what it is, and the impression I get is he's somebody that is really trying to do a style he's not suited to. I don't think him
speculates that Luchasaurus is still fighting an injury.
Mm-hmm.
Also, real quick in the chat, he's saying Kenny and Hangman on the outs with Elite is the best overall story in the company right now, in his opinion. But the majority of it's happening on being the Elite and not in the ring. He also says one of the Young Bucks holding their own brother to prepare for Marco to give that huge destroyer made me roll my eyes. Yeah, it's bits like that make me go, come on. And then when people share that and go, isn't this incredible? You kind of like, are you trying to be ironic? Like, you know that's not right. Like, the fact that AEW on TNT posted it and then was like, isn't this incredible? It's like, you guys have to be joking. Like, no one can say that made any sense or seemed reasonable, right? They also, on a side note, sent it to you guys. They posted that video of Cody and Sonny, and in the middle of it, a battery alert came up. And I was like, guys, come on.
Yeah.
You can reshoot that or pull the video from somewhere else. Like, why are you posting a thing with an alert? Looking amateurish.
I mean, that's what I kind of think. It seems like a lot of the production and media people they have almost seem like friends or volunteers.
Yeah, they do. They do.
What's funny is when
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say what's funny is when you sent it to me, I thought it was a fan that sent it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was like their official shit. That's why I just completely glossed over until you said it right now.
Oh, yeah, it was their official account. What were you gonna say, Klump?
Terrible.
I was gonna say, like, to Dorktop's point with Luchasaurus, yeah, I think he might still be fighting this thing, but whenever he's come back, like when he came back and he's doing these big kicks and stuff, the impression I got, and if he's that hurt, then he shouldn't be working, but also, you're 6'7". You look really awkward doing these weird strikes and kicks. I don't know, maybe if you need to do this style, maybe you would be better as like a Kevin Nash or an Undertaker style where you're a brawler or something like that. These weird kicks you do, they're different, I'll give you that, but I don't know if you need to do them. You could also you can differentiate yourself enough by being Lucha fucking Saurus. I like you a lot as is. Maybe just be something else or try something new.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Let's see. So that was on my top. Kevlar, did you have a top from AEW left?
To us, and the crowd started wearing masks.
Yes.
That was pretty up there.
Yeah, the crowd was wearing masks for the most part. I thought that was very, very good. Very smart. They've been having issues. Klump, did you have any other? Actually, WWE instituted a fine. In WWE, you get fined if you're not wearing a mask at this point. They're making sure that everyone's wearing them.
Yep.
Klump, did you have another top you wanted to talk about in AEW specifically?
Sunny Kiss.
Yes.
Go ahead. Dorkchop just brought it up too. I knew you were going to, so that's why I didn't put it on mine. I actually really liked Cody versus Sonny, is what Dorkchop says. Cody showing more signs of going full heel, and I'm here for it. Go ahead, Klump. What do you say?
I thought the Sonny versus Cody match was a good match. I thought that, the open challenge has been neat in that I think even though Cody's steamrolling everyone, it is highlighting new people. And Sonny took the chance and looked like a badass. I love the match that they did and they put on. The only thing I didn't like, and I feel like it was in response because every fucking podcast in the past 3 months that JR's put on, he talks about how he likes Sonny Kiss, and then, I get a lot of hate because, I call them he or she, and they said I have permission to call them he or she, and he just goes into it. So commentary was saying he and or she, and it got old fast. We both talked about this. It got really old. And I think it took away from a fantastic, solid match. You know,
Yeah, it was distracting for sure. I even brought up. I started laughing at one point. Producer was cooking dinner, and I'm just in here watching the match, and she's like, "How's the match going?" I was like, "It's a pretty good match," and I just couldn't stop laughing. She's like, "What's so funny?" I was like, "They keep saying he and or she," and I was like, they said it and stumbled over parts where they could have said almost any other general pronoun to refer to a wrestler or athlete or performer or they or them or competitor.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's anything they could have said, but they always chose to use a masculine or feminine pronoun and then specifically added on the other one to the point where it got silly, and it reminded me of Seinfeld, where it was like, it's not that there's anything wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like, they're always just trying to be like that whole PC episode where it's all like, it's totally fine. There's nothing. There's anything wrong with that. Like, and that's really what it felt like the commentary became, where it's all like, oh, a strong punch is absolutely important in any man's or woman's arsenal when you're competing, and it's all like, come on, man. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
What's more, in doing that, the way that they did it, to me, took away from the performance that Sonny put on.
100%. And that's why I think that they could have used more neutral pronouns: competitor, wrestler, performer, athlete, fighter.
Sonny. How about say Sonny? Pronouns, pal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, they could definitely use Sonny's name. However, there were definitely times where they're saying that was important for any fighter effectively. So they could have used anything like fighter, competitor, wrestler, athlete. Like, they could have done that with anybody, but they chose to say he or she, you know what I mean, man or woman, and it definitely did completely pull away from it. Go ahead, Klump.
I was going to say, like, the other things that stuck out to me. So one, Sonny has done something that I think is really awesome and big, and that they've been open about. This is fine, and help defend, you know, people who, you know, I think they've done a lot to combat people trying to be in their corner for them and say, no, I got this. This is fine. And I appreciate that, because I feel like that's something in wrestling, because wrestling's a pretty conservative, pretty old-fashioned fan base.
It's true.
It can be, and you know, they're already stepping out in a big way, and they've done a lot to bring people in. I feel that in making this a joke, I think my view is the intent was to make a joke about how many people were hitting them for saying one or the other, and it being perceived as being detrimental to Sonny. However, they went so over the top with it that it, to me, became a joke to, like, yeah, it was funny, like, in an awkwardly phrased way, but it diminished Sonny as a performer. And also, I could see the people that Sonny's battling, or people that wrestling's battling, their perception-wise, you know, that, you know, perceived old, conservative, in the trailer fan, laughing at that because of, well, look at them.
It becomes a mockery and not inclusivity.
There's a lot of terms I think that could be used there, and they would say, well, they're this, because when you say he and or she so much, after a while, I think of the derogative term he, she.
Yes, 100%. And I think, like, the same reason I walked out of Napoleon Dynamite the first time I watched it, as weird as it sounds, it felt a lot like people started laughing at these characters and not laughing at the situations the characters were in. It was like a mockery and not a celebration. Yeah. Where, like, when I first started watching Napoleon Dynamite, I was in the theater, and I thought, this is great. This is a celebration of these weirdo type people I knew growing up. These are people I was friends with. I was always friends with people just like Napoleon. And then listening to the way people would laugh at him, I was like, this doesn't feel like you guys are celebrating these people in their weirdness. It sounds like you're mocking them and pointing your finger and laughing at them. And when you start saying those, like, he, she, his, her, and them, then it starts to pull away from the inclusivity and starts to become very divisive.
It becomes like there's a dumb joke that it's super hacky that I hate when people say, like, well, they're part of the LGBTQ XYZ, and they start, like, adding letters on because they think it's funny. Yeah. And it's not. It's making fun of what that means. Also, you might have just been the only person I've heard throw out why I like Napoleon Dynamite that I could get. I don't like the movie, but I hated it because growing up, everyone that I saw who liked it was, to me, laughing at the people in it.
They were mean.
And that wasn't funny to me. And I'm like, okay.
It's not funny that way. It's a celebration to me. The reason I like it, it's a celebration of people who had a really hard time getting through that level of childhood and growth. Mm-hmm. Dorkchop says the match was damn good though, and I really like Sunny. Also said that it just called more attention to it rather than worry about the match, and I agree with it. My only problem with the match itself is that, and I talked about it with you guys earlier in the week, Cody has the same match with everyone right now. He struggles with everyone. No one is not giving Cody a hard time. Cody has a hard time beating everyone. So when Sunny takes Cody to his limits, it feels so much like another Cody match, where this really could have been the moment to propel Sunny, and I think that Sunny deserves it, and it's come a long way from the first time we saw Sunny, to be pushed up a level. But unfortunately, because every single other person who's ever been in the ring with Cody since AEW started has had the same style match, it's just another person who took Cody to his limit again, because for whatever reason, Cody's character undermines every fucking buddy and doesn't prepare for any match and barely skates by and barely gets the win. If he gets the win. It's a tie or a win, because he can't just go out there and have a squash match. Where I think that this is the importance of, like, I know everyone talks about 50-50 booking as a big negative thing, and I agree 50-50 booking can be very negative, but people don't talk about the 50-50 booking of producing a match, which is that everyone's getting equal say in the match, everyone's getting a punch for punch. Only people are thinking about 50-50 wins and losses. You get a win, I get my win back. Cody has too many matches where it's 50-50 matches, where you beat me up for 10 minutes, I beat you up for 10 minutes, I barely get a win in the end. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's too even for that. This could have propelled Sunny, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, and to me, just, in the storyline that gets me with that is that Arn Anderson's his coach. And the purpose of a coach is exploit your opponent's weaknesses and say, hey, hit this, do this, attack him there. And Cody doesn't have that. It's like, Arn Anderson's a coach, he should be like, hey, do this. He does it, he wins. Cool, we found the weakness, we exploited it, we won. And
100%.
Has these close matches where it's like, okay, so are you saying Arn Anderson's a terrible wrestling coach?
Yeah. He's awful at
this.
Damn,
Arn, you're so shit at this.
Yeah.
The other thing too with it, like, it's the same criticism I felt like I've expressed and I've said about Roman Reigns matches. It's the same match. I'm gonna get my ass kicked this entire time. Well, except it's more 50-50, but it's like get taken to my limit, get my ass kicked, then pull it out. You gotta we have to mix in some people he whips the shit out of. And I know that the goal is to make people look good, but you got to have some of these where it's like, look, we're going to put you in, you're going to get your ass kicked. Unfortunately, you need to have a lower card. You need to have people who make people look good. So he needs to have somebody come in, like maybe this week, have somebody come in where it's a 30-second match. He just fucks them up and walks away.
It's like I say in my every job I ever have, I always talk about it. If you make every single thing a priority, nothing becomes priority. You can't say everything is the number one priority and expect it all to get done. You have to make actual priorities. Same thing in like a wrestling match. You can't say that everyone's a main event star and actually have main event stars. Everyone becomes mid-card because no one's shining. Everyone can't have the same shine, or it's just a regularly washed car. You know what I mean? Someone has to shine. So
I feel like
if you have everyone...
Go ahead, finish.
You have to have people who are losing more often and winning more often so someone can overcome being on the bottom of the card. But if every match looks like everyone can take everyone to the limit and everyone's competitive on the same exact level, then the level diminishes, it doesn't rise.
Yeah. I was going to say, I feel like in seeing this match and seeing how Sunny did, I'm very happy because I could see a point very recently where Sonny would have just been the person to be squashed. They would have been the joke. And I'm very happy. Like, when I heard it was going to be Sonny versus Cody, I was anticipating this being that match where Sonny gets fucked up, you know?
Yes.
And I'm really happy it wasn't, but I wish that, we had some other people precede that. Unfortunately, also, Cody, through just, maybe being too focused on being fast with this than taking this the long route, Pryor had Ricky Starks, who looked great, and you need these to not follow each other. That's just my views. Like, maybe have, Sonny versus Cody, but before that it was Cody versus Marco Stunt, because Marco Stunt feels like he's going to go out there and get it, and then gets his ass handed to him.
Yeah, but he won't, and that's the whole point. Is that, like Dork Chop says, remember it's all elite, so they're all main eventers, and he says he casts side eye at Peter Avalon. That's absolutely the problem. And the point is that if you book everyone like they're competitive, and you want to make everyone look strong, it just makes everyone look weak, because you can't overcome the odds if everyone's on the same playing field. You have to set those apart. Klump.
Yes.
That was on your top, so we're going back to did we do a top for you there, Kevlar? No, yeah, for AEW. I only have one. You said what?
I just said the masks. They listened to us and put masks on the crowd.
Yeah, which I think is actually a huge thing. I think it's actually great, because it was making me a little tired when it says AEW is doing everything right and they're doing it all perfect and everything's set up and it's amazing and they got everyone ringside and it's perfect. And I'm like, I feel like everyone seems really exposed and I just wish they'd wear a mask. They're all wearing masks now and it shut me the fuck up.
Yeah.
Do either of you have anything else to say about AEW? Because I have one more thing in my bottom, but nothing in my top.
I have another thing in my bottom, and we might have the same one.
Okay. Kevlar, what about you?
I was just going to say that I liked... It was kind of a top and a bottom with the Moxley Cage match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was going to talk about the Moxley Cage match. Is that what you're going to talk about too, Klump?
Yep.
Dork Chop real quick says Cody did heal it up, but to put Sonny away, though, which he appreciated. More heel Cody, please. One more thing in my bottom, he says.
Whoa,
I think
in my bottom was censored.
Yeah, no, we're sponsored by Bag Dragon. So I think that
in my bottom was censored.
I think that the heel, to wrap up the Cody stuff, heel Cody to me confuses me because he comes over as like a big face, and obviously the whole everyone in the company and outside the company loves him. But then he talks mad shit about QT Marshall and then calls him his best friend. He does this shit where he throws Sonny down and starts doing push-ups because you're not even a workout for me. Like, there's definitely heel shit going on with Cody. And in a company where almost everyone seems to be a heel anyways, I don't know if it's the move to make, and I don't know if it needs to be. I think Cody makes a great babyface. I'm not against him being a heel, but I think that being a great babyface is way harder than being a great heel. Look at Seth Rollins for one. Seth Rollins is a tremendous performer. He's next level. He's one of us. He should have represented us. And when he was a babyface, he could not connect with the fans at all. He went back to being a heel, and he's back to being exactly the way everyone wants to see him. It is so tough to have a great babyface. I don't think you squander that. I think you lean into that, personally.
Well, he's the face of the company. Everyone thinks AEW, they think Cody, not just, the elite. It's always Cody. And I think he does need to be the baby face as well.
I think so too. But in defense of him being a heel, he's got a stupid tattoo on his fucking neck. Kevlar, go ahead and tell us what you thought about Brian Cage versus Jon Moxley.
So this is actually the first time I've seen Cage actually perform.
What did you think?
And I like him. I think he has good, ring chemistry. There was a time where he had Moxley, I think he was on the outside, and he was about to suplex Moxley, over the ropes and onto the outside, and he looked over a few times to make sure nothing was there, and then Moxley reversed it. And I was like, that's something like ring IQ, if you will, that a lot of people will do. They're like, oh, it's gonna be reversed. Why look behind me because I'm trying to, and I'm gonna try and do.
Yeah.
And and I think that's one of the reasons why I put it on my top. And it's stuff like that, little things like that I really appreciate.
For sure. Why did you say that there was also a bottom involved in this one?
I think it was a terrible return of Darby.
Interesting. Klump, what do you think about the match?
I thought the match was okay. I really wanted Cage to win, or when he lost, or when Taz threw the talent, I wanted him to go out on Taz, and that I could see happening. And I've been kind of frustrated with having Taz present for a long time, because I feel like, yeah, cool, Taz isn't going to take a bump, so what's the point of this? Because at some point, Taz has to take a fucking bump. Taz needs to take a bump here. Otherwise, what is this? Taz throwing in the towel just frustrated the absolute shit out of me.
Like, Dorkchop says in the chat that he put an emoji of him like clutching his head, saying, "Me when I saw Taz clutching his towel the whole match." Go ahead.
It was obvious.
It was so
what
obvious.
was going to happen.
And it wasn't that goddamn bad. It wasn't like it made him look weaker because the match didn't look like somebody being brought to the point.
No,
it felt like it felt like an okay match. I was watching this thinking, what would be really, really cool? I would love it if Cage had won it. It would have been cool to see Cage pull one over and be like, whoa, because I could see that with Cage. He is. I know he's not been on he's not been in WWE, so arguably he's not that big of a star, but the dude's done work. The dude's done good matches. The dude's got a track record in Lucha Underground and Impact. I think he could have done it, and I think it would have been really cool if he beat the shit out of Mox in 30 seconds. I would have loved that squash.
Yeah. I felt like, for one, their chemistry was a bit off, but I don't think the chemistry was totally off so much as I felt like really early on they both looked really gassed. Like, I thought I saw a ton of ring rust on both of them, and I started thinking to myself, I wonder if this is one of the reasons why the touring schedule of WWE is what it is, to make sure that when you are full-time on the road that you're not going out into a match and looking like you're tired out right away. When we need you to perform, we need you to perform. And here were two guys who were supposed to put on a pay-per-view level main event, and it felt like two guys who got really tired really fast and were just trying to get through it. And I also get it's fucking Florida. They're outside. It's hot as hell. There's a lot of factors against them, which made it even more, to me, important that you guys be more ready to go. I didn't like how the referee had them on the outside for a long time and just followed them out there. And JR tries to explain it. He even's all like, I don't understand. He goes, the referee decided to follow them out there. That's not a decision most referees would make. And you're all like, correct. Because why would you go?
And try to praise them for it.
Yeah. 100%.
Like, and then on this, going above and beyond your Call of Duty type of thing. And it was like,
that you said duty.
Discretion.
Yeah. And then Jericho and Excalibur both were trying to be like, well, with such an important match, you wouldn't want to just be a disqualification. You're like, well, with such an important match, you'd expect them to fucking follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would be stupid to break the rules in an important match. It's not you would be stupid to enforce the rules in an important match. It's the other way around. You're stupid for not following the rules in the match of your career. I'm not stupid for counting you out because you don't take this shit seriously. You know what I mean? Let me see. Dorkchop says, why bring up Cage's injuries after the towel was thrown in and almost not at all during the match, but in the promo they did. Miss Fabtina said, I like how there was a clip going around of JR saying how not everyone in the company listens, which is true, not very telling, or it's very telling. Dorkchop says, just as it's say it's New Japan rules during title matches, boom. Yeah. And I'm fine with that too. Just change the rules. Stop making excuses. Make different rules.
When you bring up somebody's injury after they lose the match, it makes me think of when Manny Pacquiao lost to Floyd Mayweather. The first thing after is like, well, he was nursing an injury in his arm. Then why the fuck did he fight in this match that we were considering the most important thing in boxing ever?
Yeah, he shouldn't have been in there.
Yeah.
My biggest problem with Taz throwing in the towel, because ultimately, I don't think it was an awful match. I think it was a fine match. I don't think that either man got the chance to truly shine. And I think it got sloppy, but I think the thing that pissed me off about it was Taz threw in the towel. And I know they're going to come up with all sorts of stupid excuses, but bottom line, here you have this big new monster who's been awarded the FTW belt, and when he's been given it, he looks like a fucking giddy child, and Taz says this is held by the baddest SOB in all of wrestling. And now the same dude who gives him that says, oh, nope, he's had enough. He can't handle this. He's a little bit itch. Throws the towel in and saves him. He needs to be saved by Taz. Mind you, the whole time Mox isn't even looking at Cage. He's looking at Taz. And he's giving Taz the finger. And he's saying, fuck you, dude. This match was never about Cage. What the fuck is happening? And by throwing in the towel the way that they did, makes Brian Cage look like not only is he not tough enough, but his coach doesn't think he's good enough to get out of it. They then bring in Darby Allin after the match. And in my mind, I'm thinking, if I've got to get Brian Cage out of this match because I can't have Moxley lose it, but I'm bringing back Darby Allin to start a feud with Cage, have Darby just jump the rail and hit Brian Cage with a fucking skateboard. End of story. Have Moxley go like, oh, look all surprised, like, oh shit, okay, you guys fight it out, and leave, because Moxley doesn't give a shit. And now you have Darby Allin beating the shit out of Brian Cage, ruining his career highlight match, and now you're off to the races, where now it's all like, okay, Brian Cage lost fair and square in the middle, and now he's going to start some sort of a quabble with Darby Allin. Put stakes out there. Have Darby Allin cost him the match. Now he's got a reason to be pissed at Darby, for sure.
1 second.
Yeah.
God damn it, Siri.
You set Siri off.
Yeah. Dorkchop says drove a match. Yeah. Super weird return for Darby. Kevlar, you were talking about... So, shut up, Siri!
Siri keeps going.
Kevlar, you were saying that your biggest bottom on this whole thing of this match was the return of Darby Allin. Go ahead and explain that.
Well, exactly what you just said is I think it was just a waste at the end of the match.
My
they
bad.
could have, yeah, they could have, levered it into something meaningful. Instead, it was just like, oh, he's back now, and he's, beating up somebody that was just in a match.
Yeah.
Like you said, cost him something, start an actual feud, and go from there. Instead, it was just wasted.
Yeah, and on top of that, Brian Cage is in this arm bar where it's breaking his arm to pieces, and he gets up and immediately just starts punching Moxley with his bad arm, and you're like, what the fuck? He's not hurt at all. Like, the no-sell after the fact also confused me. Dorkchop says, super weird return for Darby. If anything, have Cage win, and then have Darby come out when he's celebrating, start a feud. Why does he go after the loser? Kind of lessens it. The only reason he went after the loser is because Brian Cage is the one who put him out. That's why I think you have Darby cost Brian the match. Because letting him lose and then attacking him means nothing. Means nothing. Where if you cost him the match, it's you ruined my championship opportunity. I injured you getting this opportunity and you took it away from me. I'm going to end you before I do anything else. It makes so much more sense than being like, yeah, I lost it. Pretty fair and square. As the baddest SOB in all of wrestling, my coach knew I couldn't handle the pain. So he threw in his little FTW towel. It's trademarked and you can buy one on the shop. And now I guess we're going to fight because you're a little upset. Like, what the fuck is that?
And the Taz towel throw was weak as hell. Kind of just tossed it. He needed to like hit the ref with it almost.
Smack him in the face.
Yeah, it's like when the coaches in the NFL challenge something and they just like drop it next to them. So hawk that thing halfway across the field, make it get noticed.
Dork Chop says they did the same thing with Archer, Brody, Cage, debuting them Big Bad Monster and have them lose in the big moment. I know you want to have babyfaces go over, but one of these guys needed a big win, in my opinion. And I agree 100% with that. They've done everything they can to bring their friends into this organization. Say, look, you never got your world title shot where you were before, although different with Brian Cage. He was the world champion there. He lost to a woman, loses the title. So that happens. They're like, we're going to give you your whole world title shot you never got. They come in, they lose, they're back to the middle of the card. And you're like, why do that? Why bother? Why wouldn't you build them up and make them look strong for a longer period of time than making them the monster of the month and then casting them aside? You're really proving the other companies right. And I think the whole point of you guys is to prove that they're all wrong, that they don't get the talent the way you get them. Was there anything else either one of you guys wanted to say about Taz? Go ahead, Klump.
I was going to say, like, to your point on that is, and to Dorchop's point, like, in feeding these people, the other thing that sucks is they then fall off, like, a cliff after. Like, we've seen Archer sitting in a fucking audience for a month now, 2 months. We've seen Brody Lee and the Dark Order kind of flounder and go further away. And, like,
fucking around with Colt Cabana?
Yeah. We've seen... Yeah. It's you need to build people up. You need to build up some stories. You need to have these matches not end in one and dones. Have somebody go back and say, you know what, I'm not done, and come back.
I'm not finished with you.
Yeah, some change, but instead we just see like, okay, cool, next boss, and at some point, what, who are we gonna bring in, like, and who's gonna be the next monster? Who's going to let themselves be booked into this? Because this is poor booking.
Yeah, this definitely feels like a disinterest in the world title at this point. Oh, they're going to bring in one of their friends, give him the shot, let him lose, and then cast him aside again. What the fuck is this?
Yeah. I have to step away for a second. I'll be right back.
Oh, good luck. Klump, did you have anything about NXT? Top or bottom?
Top end, like Dominik Dijakovic versus Keith Lee. When I saw that was going to be the match, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to watch this, like this show, because they do a fantastic match together, but it's the same thing with Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. It's a match I've seen over and over and over. And what's the point? If you're going to make a series of matches, put something behind it. Give me a series of matches where, like, this is the best of 5 series, and it becomes something like Cesaro and Sheamus. That was fantastic. That led to something great. Make this important, but instead we do this, and I'm just kind of done.
Yeah.
So
on my bottom,
it was a great
I actually put NXT All Together is on my bottom this week.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's a big dig in the chat room. Dorkchop says he puts stash as a code in there now, and the Nightbot says yes. Apparently, Kevlar beat up Joey Ryan and stole his mustache.
That's amazing.
Waited for him to leave. It's tough. I put NXT All Together. There was no match on that card that felt like a must-see or any kind of story-building match. It was such a placeholder NXT episode. It was, we just got off the heels of the Great American Bash series, and we all kind of want to take a break and just kind of put it on pause. The fact that they didn't make anything in there marquee on any level. I mean, don't get me wrong. Io versus Tegan sounds great on paper, and I bet you it was the best match of the entire night. And I have every intention of going back to watch it, but I have no hurry to go back and watch it because I knew who was going to win, and it wasn't going to make any kind of impact as far as the story goes. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Kev back?
Yes, you just said
I'm back. Yes.
It really felt like a bunch of B segments. Like, it felt like these would all be like one part of an old NXT. Like, yeah, and then we'll have this in addition to everything else. And then also Cameron Grimes versus Damian Priest. It already feels like an old feud,
I don't have a problem with that being on there, but it just felt like another part of the thing. Damian Priest got the win, I assume.
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean that's just exactly it. Is that I wouldn't say it's an old feud, but it's a middle card feud, so it's not a marquee thing. Kevlar, real quick here, was there anything that you had top or bottom about NXT?
Yeah, on the bottom I had, because I absolutely hate it. I hate that the champion keeps challenging people.
I can't stand that shit.
Keith Lee challenged Dominic Dijakovic.
But also, in all fairness, why wouldn't he? He's beat Dijakovic in every single match they've ever had. So yeah, sure, I'll defend
Not
against
everyone, but yeah, I hate when the champion challenges people.
100%, 100%.
And then that.
Still there? There you go. That match specifically was on the bottom of Klump's list because we've seen it so many times. My bottom was just NXT in general wasn't putting on any kind of show that made me invested enough to try and check it out. There was no sense of urgency to see it, no sense of what's going to happen, and no draw to it. Where I know Io versus Tegan is probably great, and I can't wait to watch it eventually. There was no need or rush because you already know who's going to win, and you know it's not going to really progress the story. We're on to the next thing. It was like a real placeholder NXT. And to me, when you're having your quote Monday Night Wars, I don't think having placeholder shows is, a great look.
Yeah. One of the things I did like though about the Dijakovic Keith Lee match is they started off with a test of strength.
Oh, that's cool.
We haven't seen that in a long time.
And what's cool about that too is that just the psychology of the champion challenging the challenger, as it were, because of their mutual respect for one another as big guys who are strong and have their matches together. It's cool that they would start it with a test of strength because it also more of a, what do you call that? What am I thinking of, Kev?
A dick measuring contest.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're thinking about.
It's my time. It's my time to shine right now. I got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
I don't want to miss anything else, but I also did not have a lot to say about NXT this week, to be quite honest. Was there anything else you guys want to talk about with NXT?
No,
honestly, I feel like the same with, like as you said, is it felt like a real placeholder episode. I mean, honestly, a lot of WWE this week kind of felt like I get it, there's a pay-per-view, but a lot of the other stuff around it, I kind of felt like, okay, cool, yeah, a lot of content here. Maybe we could have done less content. This was fantastic.
Yeah, maybe so. Let's see, that brings us over to SmackDown. Was there anything on SmackDown that ended up on either of your guys' top or bottom list?
Let me look at my notes. Oh, I did like at the beginning of SmackDown that everyone started out with a little promo explaining what they were going to do that night instead of, Michael Cole, the commentators, laying out the, night's card.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting way to open it. I didn't hate it. I don't know if I loved it. It definitely seemed weird, but, I mean, it was definitely different, and I liked the look of it. The first couple of them are like, what's going on? What's happening here? And by the end of it, I was all like, okay, that's a cool way to kind of introduce it. I don't know if I want to see it every time, but like I said, I definitely didn't hate it, and it felt kind of welcomed in this particular episode.
Well, see, I think if they do that outside the opening segment, because just like during other Raws and SmackDown, they have the opening segment, and then afterwards they have the announcers. Oh, on today's show we have this, this, and this, and this. If they did the opening segment, then did all the little promos, like, oh, this person's facing this person, this person, got this on the line, this person's going to be the guest on Moment of Bliss. I think I would like that rather than Michael Cole and Byron Saxton just rambling it off.
For sure, yeah. I think my concern when I was watching it, and I guess it played out differently, was when I watched that I was like, Oh no. Are they getting all the promos out of the way first so we just get match after match after match? But that's not how it played out. That's probably why I initially thought, okay, we'll see. Mm-hmm. But ultimately it didn't like just crush it, you know?
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think Braun's promo, like, I really enjoyed. He put another good one on and used big words that most people get stumbled on, you know, trying to, you know, say it with passion.
Braun?
Sounds stupid, yeah.
Okay, so me and producer kind of were split on this one. Producer thought he went way over the top. I thought he just showed more emotion than we've seen him ever do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of felt both ways about it, where it's like, okay, dude, maybe down one notch, but at the same time, I'd rather him go over than be the bland Braun that we've had for so long. Like, if we're pushing him to his limits, that's nice, I think.
Yeah, well, that's his character. His character is the intense badass that, you know, he's just pissed off and wants to steamroll everyone. So showing him pissed off and letting his emotion out, I think is good. I didn't like that, you know, he was sitting there saying he's scared of the Fiend.
Yeah.
But...
yeah, it was really good. That I actually put in part of it. It's kind of 50-50, so I'm not going to check it off. But I mentioned Bray Wyatt's promo on Smackdown where he was like talking from the swamp and stuff. That was this week, right? Or did I get that wrong? I thought he had a promo on Smackdown as well leading into it. It was a Funhouse or some shit.
Yeah,
no, the Funhouse was. Yeah. Either way, I thought. Yeah, but I thought the Braun and Bray stuff on SmackDown specifically was pretty good. Better than we've seen Braun in anything else. Also, with a champion who's otherwise kind of no one cares about, how do you make that character interesting, and how do you tell a story that anyone's going to give a shit about when he's been doing largely nothing for years and just been this mindless oaf? How do you make us give a shit? And they've decided to do that with Bray, and it's working. Because even the shit he was doing with Miz and Morrison, everyone was still like, okay, this is stupid. With Bray and Braun, everyone's kind of ears perked up like, there's history. Yeah. You know. Let's see. Kuro says he tapped into Brains Strowman. That's funny. I like that. Dorkchop said Jericho's Demo God promo next week is going to be insufferable. That's true. Especially because I think they won the ratings this week too. So, didn't mean to cut you off too bad there, Kevlar. Was there anything else you want to say about SmackDown in that regard? Because I've only got one thing to talk about in SmackDown.
The only other thing that I have that's a negative is that they said Jeff and Sheamus is going to be next week and not at Extreme Rules.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that was about. Other than I do think that it's probably going to be pretty cinematic. And remember how last week we were talking, is it too many cinematic matches for one night? Yeah. Maybe they heard it. You know, I think that they're always listening to us. I think they take a lot of ideas from us. I think that it's clear that we are the largest influencers on the WWE, apart from probably Sam Roberts. And they said we're gonna pull back a little bit. We're gonna pull back and separate it. I think that was our doing for sure. Klump, did you have anything to say about SmackDown?
I thought the Riddle AJ Styles match was both like it was good, but it didn't feel like what they built it up to be, and then it also still feels really weird that it's happening in this environment. And I really think, especially if this was a payoff, they could have put a pause on this whole thing.
Yeah, like, didn't feel necessary.
Until
I don't think it was a bad match, and I liked that AJ went over, but yeah,
until there's a little bit of stank on Riddle with what's going on, and that's we're learning more and more. And I mean, I do believe if there was something really substantive, he wouldn't be working with the company, and they're aware of it, but I also feel like there's a little bit of a stank on him, so pause. This could happen later. We don't have to do this right now. You get what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
and beyond. So that was just kind of like a top. It was kind of a top end bottom. Like, oh, it wasn't bad. It was a solid match, but I feel like it would have been a really good match with other things present. Um, I, beyond that, like I liked the Firefly Funhouse segment. Um, I thought Braun crushing Morrison was good, but utterly unnecessary. And
Yeah.
I'm convinced that Morrison is in WWE basically for a large paycheck to be crushed because fuck him.
I don't understand
What?
the Morrison thing. He said that Morrison's back just to get a big paycheck, and everyone in production effectively is just saying, let's just crush him because fuck that guy for leaving us to begin with.
Yeah.
It's not the impression I get necessarily, but I also don't know a better explanation from him just
Yeah.
being this fucking ragdoll for Miz.
I mean, down to like,
He's Miz's dirty sock.
yeah. And down to like, unless he really likes his entrance is fucking annoying.
Oh, I hate
Like,
his
not-
entrance.
Yeah, like not in a this is heel heat. This is just boring and annoying. It's just
I hate that music.
Like,
So, I'm going to move it along because there's something more interesting to talk about, obviously, Klump. So, we had a match with Lacey and Naomi. And in that match, Lacey ties Naomi's hair into a knot, and Naomi has a hard time getting her braids out of the knot, and then turns around, gets the old punch to the face, and then Lacey goes for kind of a weird leg stretch pin and gets the win. This spurned a lot of activity online. There was a huge hashtag going around for almost 2 days that was hashtag Naomi deserves better. I don't think I want to get into the hair stuff because that to me seemed there was specific things about hair specifically that I thought was. I mean, I just don't think maybe I understand the gravitas, as it were, to be a hair related incident, but I do think that it's interesting to talk about the idea of Naomi deserves better. Do we think Naomi deserves better? And what does that mean? Because a lot of people were on there saying Naomi is so talented and so good, and these are true. They said that she should have had 10 title reigns by now, which I don't know if those are the same thing. I mean, if you want to talk about greatest wrestlers of all time in the history of the business, Bret Hart comes to mind. And he had, 2 title reigns?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, having the championship does not equate to being the best or being in classic matches. Some of the matches that people talk about the most with Bret are ones where he lost even. You know what I mean? Roddy Piper. Everyone talks about Roddy Piper. Never won the world title. Won the IC once. Won the tag titles once. The guy barely held any gold in the whole company. Mr. Perfect. I talk about him all the time. Never won a world title. I don't think you can equate titles to successful career. I don't.
But see, this goes to other sports too, where a lot of people can't consider somebody good or great if they never won a title. And I know, they correlate, but they don't because other sports are team based and stuff like that. Like Charles Barkley, for example.
Yeah.
One of the best power forwards of all times, and they just, he never won a ring. Well, he also went up against Jordan and the Bulls. He also, didn't have that great of supporting cast. And, I think it's the same way where it's like, hey, these people, need belts or accolades to show how good they are. And we lost track of just the actual art of their performances.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about all my favorites, I mean, like Mick Foley. 1 or 2 title reigns? You know what I mean? He never even held IC. He held the fake one for a bit. The hardcore title was a joke when he had it. It wasn't a real title until after he lost it. Undertaker. How many world titles has he held? Twice? 3 times?
Producer here.
Go ahead.
because I love Naomi. I'm such a big Naomi mark.
That's why we got that Naomi pop right here.
Love Naomi.
This one glows in the dark.
I think it's worth remembering that I forget exactly where she said it recently, but I think there was an interview she did where she said because she's like, oh well, I had the title and I've done this and that throughout my career, and she's like, what I really want is a great storyline, and I think we should give that to her. I mean, right now it's at such a time when stories are what is going to get us interested. I mean, just think of even the Money in the Bank, the Mandy and Otis story. Everyone was so invested in that.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the title.
I mean, and I know that's like a light story, but I think if that's what she wants, if she wants to be remembered for something that is just gets you so invested, let's do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a title, especially if she said that's not what her goal is.
Yeah, 100%. Jake the Snake never held I don't think any title. I think the only title he ever held was when he stole the $1 million belt for a little bit. I don't think that title equals success or Hall of Fame career even. I mean, Naomi had something that a ton of talent never got and still won't get. And that was an amazing WrestleMania moment. She won the SmackDown Women's Championship in Orlando at WrestleMania. It was like the match before last. Maybe there was 2 matches after. And she's also the only one who got an entrance. She was the only one who got an entrance for the Women's Battle Royal when she won that at WrestleMania. She's had several WrestleMania moments. Those are the things that they talk about as the moments, not the title reign. So for me, Naomi deserves better is an awesome sentiment. But what does it mean and where are you going? Because to me, it means, like producer said, she needs a great, compelling story that we talked about for a while, but it doesn't have to have anything to do with any titles. Kevlar, what do you think?
No, I agree with exactly what you guys said. She needs, she doesn't need to accolade. She just needs to show her body of work to show how good she is, and she needs something that gets the fans invested, and the best way to do that is a good storyline. Yeah.
Klump, what do you think?
I agree in the sense that I think she needs a story, but I do think that is why she needs better. I think when I heard this, I think the sentiment's a good question. It may not be, her needing a title, but I fucking hated that this came out of a karaoke segment.
Yeah.
And I hate, that's the thing to me. I'm thinking of, this is so hokey and dumb, and we're not doing, it feels like there's weak points, but it just feels weird, and it feels like there could have been a way better way of putting Lacey and Naomi together. I don't like that. I think, I would say Naomi deserves a better story than what is being put for her. Where it goes, maybe it can become something awesome, but to me, that this started off as a karaoke competition, that's what I keep thinking of,
Yeah, I thought we were going to get there with her and Mandy. I thought the Mandy storyline they had going on where Mandy was trifling and messing with her man and all that, I thought that was actually going somewhere compelling. There was some trash in it, but it was also seemed relatively emotional. You could get behind the idea of them wanting to fight. Where this is all what is this about? So 100%. But at the same time, no one's saying that anyone else deserves better. They're saying Naomi deserves better. So I do think it's specific to her in the aspect that she lost a match and people are saying she's being jobbed out. But no one's talking about Alexa Bliss taking a ton of losses this year. You know what I mean? No one's saying Alexa deserves better. And what? Because she's had a couple title reigns? She's had less than Charlotte for sure. You know what I mean? No one talks about her versus Becky or anything like that. There's a ton of women talent on there who you could say deserve better if that's your benchmark is great storyline and number of title reigns. You know what I mean?
Well, I think with Alexa they say, hey, she, they put the women's tags on her. So because everyone's, like we're discussing, they're going by titles and stuff like that. Naomi hasn't had one in a while, and I think the easiest way to make a compelling story right now with Naomi is just somebody coming out there and saying, "You're just a dancer."
Yeah.
And then change up her whole gimmick. Get rid of the glow. Just
whoa.
Take it easy.
Crazy, Kevlar.
But you know what I mean? Because that's been her gimmick the whole time, and there's nothing compelling with the glow. It's feel the glow. And that's just dancing and stuff like that. Get her out there and saying, all right, basically I'm going to put my hair up and square up and let her go out there and fight.
Do you want her to take someone else's gimmick?
Well, I mean, you can even bring it back to where Feel the Glow started, which is her wearing glow shoes and saying, I'm going to make you feel the glow. And then she would kick him in the face and said, I bet you felt that. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, feel the glow, make it more violent to a degree, right? We are in combat sports, as it were. Anything else either of you want to say on that topic?
Nope.
Yep. Real quick before we move on from SmackDown, then, there is a chronicle out right now about Jeff Hardy. I do think that anybody who has any kind of issue with the Jeff Hardy storyline currently should watch it. It's almost all Jeff Hardy talking about this storyline specifically and what it means to him and how he got there. And it was really compelling to me. And I think that it's worth hearing his side of it, if nothing else, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? But I thought that was great, and I just want to throw that out there. I don't want to spoil too much or anything like that, or go into too many details, but it does seem like this is something that he is behind, and it is something that seems to be part of a larger vision for him in his career. Was there anything else on SmackDown either of you needed to talk about?
I feel okay.
I think that brings us to Slammiversary. If there's anything there someone wants to talk about.
Let's jump into Slammiversary.
That's what I was trying to do, yeah.
Klump, what do you got?
Klump, what do you want to say about Slammiversary? Klump!
I feel like Slammiversary felt like everything that there's a lot of talk about AEW being.
Yeah.
It felt like I'm happy to see them pull, we're going to bring in all these people. I'm like, yeah, cool. But it felt like, oh, cool. Everyone from WWE.
So here's my thing on it is there's a part of me seeing all these returns. And the returns were Eric Young, EC3, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, Motor City Machine Guns, which is, what are two guys in that one? Sheely and someone? Whatever, because she does tag team partners in a different tag team now. Heath Slater, Deonna Purrazzo shows up, becomes Knockouts champ, and Kylie Rae becomes #1 contender. These were all cool things to see in and of themselves because you're like, oh, a bunch of my favorite guys who lost their job are working again. Yeah. But it also felt like, oh, a bunch of the people who were successful here but left here to become an actual name are back now because they couldn't make it happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was super bittersweet to me because it was all like, oh, awesome. Eric Young's back in it. Club's back in it. And you're all like, EC3, I don't give a shit about him either way. But it's like, you watch it and you're like, oh, cool, they're back to work. But you're also like, oh, this is where you were the most popular and you just came back. It was super like someone leaves their job to go get this great job and tells everyone this place sucks and I'm going to go be a huge deal. Mm-hmm. And then they come back 6 months later like, yeah, whatever, man. This place is better anyways and I'm like the king here. And you're like, yep. Oh, okay, man. Like, it's kind of what it felt like. Like, it's cool because your buddy's back, but it's also like, is this a step backwards or not? Yeah. And when it comes to EC3, I just don't think, honest to God, there's nothing about EC3 that tells me anything otherwise. That this dude didn't show up with a fucking ego saying, I'm going straight to the top, find the littlest bit of adversary and just fucking give up and say, fuck this place, they don't know how to use me, I'm not in every single title match. And Creative got a fucking look at that right away and said, yeah, you're right, fuck that guy, forget him. I think he was given a couple of pretty good chances and really failed, and he blames the company. That's how it looks like to me.
Well, and what's hard is that's his character. His character was literally like, fuck this company, I should be the best. And that's kind of hard because then it really kind of floats in this weird middle space. It's like, well, how much is this the character? How much is this is you? Because his character is, fuck you guys, I'm better. And so it's weird as hell. And it was like, what was kind of hard in it too was we bring in all these people, and in part you're like, oh, cool, awesome. We're all working and coming back together, and then like some people are kind of just done. Like, oh, cool, like you're here for 3 minutes, and you're out already, like Eric Young, and it just seemed to get kicked down the card right away. Or
100%.
Is it worse that they get? Good.
It was to me totally bittersweet. Oh, this is cool, but is it groundbreaking? Is this crazy? Is this huge news? Or is it all these guys back to where they started? You know what I mean?
And also, good.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say also, being as they haven't put out content during this, to have this all be just like a variety show of talent and not really defining or building anything, what is my reason to invest moving forward?
Yeah.
Like, it felt really like I didn't watch a lot of Impact. So watching this, I was like, okay, do I need to watch a lot of Impact?
100%. It also felt like a step backwards for the company, right? All these people left because you made them a star, but then they weren't stars and now they're back. So if I didn't watch Impact back then and EC3 shows up to NXT and everyone goes, oh yeah, but you should have seen his TNA run, his Impact run. And then he goes back, is it's like, does it matter at this point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it felt weird to me. I was happy to see these guys get work. Kind of didn't give a shit.
And it also felt like with Heath Slater, like, I like the story, but also this is the story he did in WWE for so long.
Yeah.
No one gives a fuck about me,
Yeah, but I mean, maybe he does something with it that shines this time. Maybe not. It's just hard to say. Kevlar's power went out at his house, and his Wi-Fi's fallen off.
Yeah, he just disappeared.
Yeah, that happens.
No, I mean, that's the messages he's sending me, is that his power's out and it's storming over at his house.
Really?
And his Wi-Fi's down.
Here too.
I heard storm over this way too, so I hope we are at least able to get through the show. If not, maybe we'll pick up a part 2 later this week, maybe.
Yeah.
However, if we can get through it, I'd like to.
Yep, let's do it. So overall, Slammiversary.
Did you like the show, watching it, the whole thing?
It was okay. I mean, it wasn't fantastic. Okay. It was okay. I mean, I don't know why I had such a weird, like, aggressive expectation with it. It was okay.
I think the weird part was this too, right? Is that all these people were let go from their respective companies, and everyone was going, okay, who on this list is going to show up? There was no surprises. It was just a checklist of who's going to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it really came down to, oh, this one showed up. Oh, this one showed up. It goes, oh, cool, they're here now. Oh, they're back to where they were big again. And it's like, what?
It felt like a Royal Rumble match, but made into an entire pay-per-view. Like, you get what I mean? Where it's like, what I like about a Royal Rumble match is, oh, cool, like, oh, this person's here, and this person's here. It felt like that, but the entire show was that.
Yeah. Do you think Deonna Purrazzo winning the Knockouts Championship is a dig at Tessa? Part of me thinks it is, because they just had that falling out with her, and Deanna was super vocal against Tessa online. Really heading the fight. Even when the personality who had the actual altercation with Tessa was all like, look, we've talked it out and we're good. Deanna was the one who was still feeding the fire and saying, no, fuck this, fuck that, fuck this person. And really feeding into it. So it's like, and then she released that video of her like actually getting into a fist fight with Tessa in the ring, which I thought showed a great amount of unprofessionalism from both of them. And they're like being proud of it. And it's like, it feels like this is a dig at Tessa. It just feels that way to me.
Yeah. No, I can get that. I can agree with that. It feels, and with this, I feel like the story of Tessa is a lot more complex than it feels like a story we don't need to be involved in, frankly. It feels a lot more complex and we're being provided by all sides, but it feels like something ultimately we don't need to be involved in. This sounds like an exploit between an employee and an employer that's going on, and it feels like all sides are kind of getting involved. And it's like, you know what, just y'all handle y'all shit, and then we'll deal with this later.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, actually, Virtuosa had tweeted, I think yesterday or something, class and dignity has been restored.
Oh my god, that's a dig for sure.
Impact Wrestling, you are welcome.
Jesus.
And so, how was the match? I'm curious what you thought of the match itself, Klump. Like, did you think it was a good match? Or?
Yeah, was she great? Because I feel like every time we've seen her, I've always thought, okay, she's got potential.
That was it. Is like it felt like it didn't pay off. It feels like we're writing a lot of checks here, and like the check looks good, pretty check, embossed, got lots of things on it, but I don't know how much it's backed up. She is a competent performer in the ring. She is a lot better than a lot of people who have held belts in companies, men or women. However, I don't think in this talent pool, in this company, she is at that level.
Yeah,
okay.
No.
Because
I feel like this was a surprise thing to be like, look who we put a belt on.
That's why I think it was a dig. Because I think it was all like, this person's not on your level, and we're going to give them the title. Because Tessa performs at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
Like her or not, she does.
What did you think of her competitor? Is it Trish?
Jordan Grace or whatever.
Is it? Klump, what did you think of who she was having a match with?
I thought her competitor was doing about as good, if not better, than her.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I was like, wait a minute, I've looked at this person's matches, like.
Why don't you have a belt on you, ma'am?
Yeah.
I thought she looked like a badass. I remember when I first saw that this match was going to happen here, I saw her arms, and I was like, geez, her arms are like bigger than my legs. Like, she's just so buff, and I was like, man, Virtuosa, maybe this will be like a great showcase, but there's no way. This chick's like awesome from the outside looking in. Because I have seen Virtuosa, and I agree with Marsh that, I was like, oh, well, she'll get there. Like, she's getting a lot of experience. But okay. All right, well, I don't know if I'll go back and watch.
It felt.
I do hope that with Kylie Ray becoming the number one contender, I hope she does take the title, because I think she is a superior talent in that regard.
Yes, looking at this and looking at the talent there, I was like, oh, why isn't Kylie in it? Because to me, the other thing too is Deonna Purrazzo coming in. Like, Deonna Purrazzo should be like. My impression is you're a new talent coming in. Why the fuck are you fighting for the belt?
Yeah.
Kylie Ray has been with the company for a while. Kylie Ray came into the company from arguably a bigger push in AEW.
Yeah.
And Kylie Ray has a fan base. Kylie Ray is, in some ways they're a lot like Becky, but they have a character and some definition, and there's a following there why isn't Kylie Ray getting this?
Yeah. And to me, the biggest bummer about Kylie Ray is we'll probably never actually know what happened that made her leave AEW. Because I know she put out her statement, which was a really vague statement about getting right with God and stuff, but like, I don't imagine she wouldn't be back in AEW if it was strictly that. So
yeah.
I want to know so bad about what actually happened there, and I think that's the one thing we'll just never know.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that happened in Slammiversary you definitely want to talk about?
Good Brothers obviously appeared. That's cool. I think maybe they had the most successful appearance.
Yeah.
Then again, also, I don't know. I feel that, and I like Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and I know in many ways they've always been the same characters since they've been the Bullet Club, and there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. But I feel like this is so. It's a rehashing of rehashing in some ways, and you know what? That's not necessarily bad. Ultimately, the Revival are still the FTR is still the Revival. The Young Bucks are the Young Bucks. But part of it to me feels like it. I don't know, man. I don't know why I want it to be something different or something, not better, just different. But it isn't,
Yeah, no, they're trying to go back to whatever story they were telling in Japan, effectively. I was listening to their podcast today, and they were really going in depth about their AEW offer and their Impact offer and why they stayed at WWE and all that, which I think it's worth listening to. If we haven't listened to it, I don't want to really dig into it, especially if nobody in the chat is going on about it. But I do think it's really interesting, and I believe all of it. Half of the story is exactly what I've been talking about before when they got drunk with me and told me all these details where I was like, you shouldn't tell me these details. A lot of it they finally actually said in that podcast. So listening to it, I was all like, oh shit.
Yeah, so if you had been following us for the past year, a little more than a year, you would have known that too.
I didn't actually leak it though. Well, so, there's going to be no evidence that...
No, but that we...
Yeah. Oh, I hinted at a few things here and there and said, I don't know, I feel like they told me something different. But I also, in a weird sense, just wanted to, they got drunk with me and told me a bunch of stuff. I don't want to, stooge them out. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I'm also happy to see them doing something. And I guess there might be a little bit of heat with them in AEW and the way that the whole thing went on the last attempt to work there, so... was there anything else about Slammiversary?
Not really. It was okay. It served its purpose.
Yeah, I felt like overall it didn't seem like something I was upset that I missed. But it was just like, oh yeah, I'll see the updates and see who showed up. Because like I said, it felt like a checklist. That brings us to Extreme Rules Horror Show. Show of Horrors.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have only a couple of things on here. What did you want to talk about in this one?
I want to talk about the swap match, definitely. That is one of my highlights. I thought it was really well done. I think the tag match, New Day versus Cesaro and Shinsuke was a fantastic match.
Oh, it was great, yeah.
And then I have that as a top because I liked seeing Kofi as a ring general.
Yeah.
Being frantic, pushing everyone, and I liked it because to me it gave me this kind of glimmer of hope of this shit, I could see you transitioning back into being a main event, in a title picture.
Yeah.
Because just this, and that'd be awesome. We haven't seen a New Day Fiend thing, we haven't seen a Kofi Fiend thing, but hey, that could be cool as hell. A pure positive versus the Fiend. I like that. They're both there and working. Hell yeah. So, I liked it. Kofi took a hell of a hit.
Yeah.
Shit, son. I'm good on Cesaro and Shinsuke for getting hit with are getting the belts, because I think we've heard a lot about them floundering, or we always hear the professional Cesaro should have all the belts conversation, but the same with Shinsuke. I feel like they both have been sitting in a weird spot for a while, and it's cool to see this working.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like them. I just missed the Sammy edition with that crew, but I don't think that they need him. I just like it.
I know.
Yeah.
I just get sad because I miss Sammy. But
I can talk about the Bray stuff. I had that written down. I thought that, like I said, the promo on SmackDown was great. I thought the acting in the Swamp Fight alone was fantastic. And I loved that they showed Alexa Bliss as a psychological force with Sister Abigail. I know a lot of people popped. There was a huge conversation about whether or not Alexa Bliss is actually Sister Abigail. And then I saw a conversation where someone was saying that, God, it might have even been Sam, where he actually booked Alexa Bliss as a valet for Braun, as Sister Abigail, and like a monster or something. I don't think you need to go that far. I think what it showed was that Sister Abigail is in your mind, like it or not, and will take the shape and form of whatever it is you desire to lure you in and take you over. You know what I mean?
Yes. I like the idea that Sister Abigail is kind of like an implanted force and not this physical person. They're an idea. I also like, and it made me giggle initially, but I liked it because we haven't seen it in a long time. I like that Bray is saying we could take over the world, we could be gods.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, it's cool to see a fucking supervillain in wrestling. It's cool to see someone who's legit crazy. Because to me, when I think of somebody who's like the idea of somebody being crazy, off kilter, or something like that, it's taking things and having that logic outside of it. Like, this is wrestling, and they're like, no, like taking it beyond, having us suspending reality that we're watching wrestling and we're like looking at winners and losers and getting excited, to the idea of I could rule the world. Okay, that's cool. And it felt neat to see that, because I don't know of a time where we've seen that kind of sentiment in professional wrestling, because I think, going way above professional wrestling, the argument would become like, well, it's too unreal and it breaks kayfabe. It didn't feel like it broke anything. It felt like, okay, for this character, hell yeah.
Yeah. It felt really in line with all of it. I think also there was a big controversy. Everyone's like, I don't know who the Universal Champion is. I was like, well, then you weren't watching the thing. This was never about the title. It was always just a swamp fight, and there's never even a ref. How are you going to have a fucking finish without anybody? The whole idea was this is going to get us to the next thing. This is how we get to Braun versus The Fiend. That's all this is. Like, so I really liked it in that regard. But yeah, it definitely wasn't a match.
I just want to say, I really love the unpredictability of it. And it, kind of like all Bray Wyatt matches, there's just, you don't know what's going to happen. We didn't know what was going to happen with Cena. We had no idea what was going to happen with Swamp. I mean, kind of had an idea, but we didn't know it was going to be this. Like, it just feels like it always gets deeper. Like, it always gets more psychological and more twisted, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love not being able to tell.
And in one of my chats, a buddy of mine, WWE Front Row, he was saying that this is the most vulnerable he's ever seen Braun Strowman. That, especially ever since he won the title, he never looked like he was even slightly in danger. And this made him look like he was seriously in danger, which I think is an important aspect to bring up as well.
Yeah. I also think in that match, again, when we talked about the missing crowds, the Fiend would not be as powerful or be as unique and as wonderful if not in these circumstances. And I mean, you never think of a positive in this, but that's an amazing silver lining that we figured this out, and it would be a cool challenge to see this continue in a different era when we start bringing more people in. But things like this, they're perfect for him.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm super happy to see this occur.
Yeah, I think it was a really good use of Bray Wyatt, and anytime you give him a production crew and say, hey guys, just go nuts, always good. Was there anything else in Extreme Rules you wanted to bring up specifically? I've got a couple.
The Drew match. I really hated the Drew match.
You hated the Drew match? I actually thought that was the best Drew match I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's kind of part of why. It wasn't. So we just buried the shit out of Dolph Ziggler, you know, and I get that like Dolph Ziggler is a heel and stuff like that. Like the idea of like, yeah, I have all this and I still lose, and it doesn't feel like Drew sweat for the match. It felt really one-sided in the match, like throughout the match. It just felt like, okay, we're just waiting for Drew to win, and yeah, I think everyone pretty much assumed Drew was going to win it, but it just. Like, I didn't care. I felt really bored, and it felt like this should have been a match on Raw. You know?
Let's see. Well, Dorkchest's back in the chat, and he said that you protect Bray Wyatt at all costs. What I liked about this match was that, for once, Drew McIntyre didn't kick out at 1 on every single thing. Even against Brock, he was doing that, kicking out at 1 at every single thing. Didn't matter. I'm bigger than that. I'm stronger than that. This was the most vulnerable, again, that we've seen Drew McIntyre, where you never really felt like he was going to lose because that's the way they book it. But it was the most selling I've seen Drew do. So in that regard, I felt like it actually buried Dolph less than most other matches Dolph has ever had with Drew or Goldberg, for that matter. And it was the most interesting Drew looked. He looked like he could lose in the right circumstance. Just Dolph couldn't get it done. But Dolph never gets it done. So
yeah.
But otherwise, I thought it was the best Drew match I've ever seen. I've never seen him sell so much. I've never seen him try to make it look like he might not have it. You know what I mean? He's always been booked in quite the way where it's like, oh yeah, he's clearly doing the whole thing. Even when he was in tag teams and stuff and doing the triple threats and all that, he never took the loss. He was very protected in that. Let's see. I'll bring up this one. I thought Sasha and Bayley on whole put on a great performance at Extreme Rules. I think they're really old school style heels. Like... Mm-hmm. Using the brass knuckles and sneaking around the ropes back, thinking they're above the rules all the time. Between the two matches, Bayley putting on the ref jersey and doing the count because, hell, they're above the rules anyways. You know what I mean? Like, and I think creating that controversy around the Raw Women's title was brilliant. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't just have a clean win or loss with a Sasha Asuka match right now. You know what I mean? It's Extreme Rules. It's not Mania. This isn't a blow-off. This is the first part of it. And, yeah, having Sasha steal the title because Asuka was cheating and Bayley decided to do the count as the official, confusing everyone. Hell yeah. Get everyone talking. Get everyone upset. Let's build towards the next thing that's going to tell us how do we figure this out.
I get that. I like that. Yeah, I think I agree. I agree with that. I think I was worried going into it that Sasha would lose and it'd be another like weird moment of like, okay, so we're just gonna keep burying them, whatever. But no, I like this. I like this a lot. I really, really, really liked the way that Sasha got it, and you can also further extend out the inevitable feud between them. I also really liked how in the match between Bayley and Nikki, Sasha was way more active. In the match with Sasha and Asuka, for a lot of that match, Bayley wasn't as active.
Yeah,
Bayley
she was really
wasn't
taking a step
jumping in.
back.
It was way late, and I was like, if this is a loss, like I was like, you were kind of watching like, I think that like Bayley doesn't want to get involved. Okay,
yeah,
like Bayley is seeing Sasha as like I could see the promo now. I always was second to you. I don't want you to come for my belt. I don't want you to have a belt because I'm not going to be second to you anymore.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
And I loved all of it. I even tweeted out when after the match, I tweeted out a picture of Bayley in the ref shirt, and I hashtagged it best dressed. Thought it was so good. And I think it was like old school heel shit. And Dorkchop brings it up too. He goes, I've seen a lot of people hating Bayley putting on the ref shirt and making the count, but I'm like, isn't it the same shit we would have all loved on Monday night in '98? And he said he was into it. And 100%. I was actually rewatching, because we were talking about it again earlier, the Shane McMahon stuff with Kevin Owens and AJ and Sammy. And there was a match where Elias was the guest referee. He got like pissed off and walked away. And threw the ref shirt on the ground, and then Shane just put it on and stepped in the ring and was like, well, I guess I'm the ref now.
I remember that.
Yeah, and he just decided to officiate, and Kevin Owens was like, what, you can't just do this? And he goes, yeah, why not? You know what I mean? And that match counted. Like, 100%, yeah. We've seen wrestlers put on a ref shirt and just call a match for whatever reason there happens to be. So I don't think it was out of the world of possibility that Bayley could think she could do that. But I also think it added a whole controversial layer to it, which is perfect because it gets everyone talking about it. And that's exactly what you want, is everyone saying, what the fuck's going on with the title? Did you see Bayley put on that shirt? You see Sasha's got Asuka's title right now? Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to build to something amazing, you know?
Yeah, I think people also forget that they're supposed to be heels. They're supposed to be obnoxious, and you're supposed to be pissed at them.
Yeah, no, I think they're doing great. Also, how great did Nikki Cross look?
Yeah, so happy.
Yeah.
I've been saying over and over again, and it's endless in all of these, that Bayley's matches are designed to make sure that the other person looks so good that you walk away saying, why is Bayley still the champ? And Bayley's sneaking out these victories. Here's one where Nikki Cross looked so good that Bayley legitimately needed brass knuckles to punch Nikki in the stomach to get her finisher on her because she couldn't do it otherwise. Like, how strong does Nikki look right now? The only reason you lost is because Bayley had to have a cheat because she couldn't have done it otherwise. Damn, Nikki looks great, you know? Klump's over there fuming. He's just fuming. He's just fuming. He's pissed. He's pissed because as much as he hates Bayley and Sasha, he knows this pay-per-view, they actually shined, and he's mad about it.
No, I think they did good. This sold me more on them because I've been kind of tired of, I felt like, okay, come on. I just felt like a little bit done with it. So I was like, okay, this brought some life into it. The only thing I was thinking about, I loved Nikki's performance. I really hated the babyface Heat weird promo that Nikki did in advance of it.
Oh, yeah. That was weird.
Yeah, we're going to be friends. I'm really tired of this, special needs Nikki.
Yeah.
I want crazy Nikki back. And it even her run to the ring, where she's quick walking, I'm like, that's fucking weird. Just be a fighter. Go do shit, you know?
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I was really hoping that we were seeing shades of her cracking and becoming insane, but I'm starting to think we're not. I thought on SmackDown we saw her almost snap. And I was like, oh, are we going to get crazy fucking Nikki? And then they opened up Extreme Rules with her having this hurrah with Kari saying Asuka and Alexa, affirmation. Say that you're the best. I'm the best. Say you're going to win. I'm going to win. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, well, I thought it was going to start with Alexa saying, you have too much coffee? I thought they were starting a little riff there, but then it ended up not to be, and I was really disappointed.
Yeah, I thought they were going to have, Alexa trying to pump up Nikki, and Nikki to say, you guys just need to get away from me right now. You're distracting me. And have her snap, and have Alexa go, okay, bitch. You know what I mean? Yeah, bitch.
I also did like that the weird 3D graphics they come out, so they can make new ones, because they did a new one for the New Day. The graphic for Nikki is still Nikki being, smaller and off to the side of Alexa. For Nikki's own fucking entrance. You can't just crop one of those out, because, we saw for the New Day, they had this new one of Biggie holding all the titles. It's really weird that this person's going out to fight for a belt, and they're not the center of their own fucking entrance.
Yeah. And it's still, Alexa Bliss with her best friend Nikki Cross. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah. I think also I like the length of this pay-per-view, and I know it's a very broad thing to say. I liked the 2.5 hours. It was pretty good. I wish Raw was 2.5 hours.
Yeah, definitely at times for sure. There's only one other match I really felt like bringing up. I mean, unless there's something else you want to talk about Bayley or Sasha, because I can talk about them forever.
No, I'm good.
I mean,
you got enough out of me, champ.
All right.
I'm just saying.
You got positives out of me.
Pretty good.
Quit begging for it.
I do think though it's funny. As sort of a side note on it I was thinking about how when I do listen to Cornette's podcast, he always like fast forwards through the women's matches most of the time. And I thought the irony is that the most old school heels they have right now are probably Sasha and Bayley. Yep. With the way that they book their finishes and stuff. And I was like, and he's completely unaware because he's such an idiot about shit sometimes.
Unless they're going to be swinging with his wife, he doesn't care.
Well, maybe. But yeah, and I think that I thought that their old school heel work, it was, great. The other thing I was going to bring up was the eyeball for eyeball match.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think it was a bad match in and of itself. And I thought that the way that it ended was probably the way that we should have expected it to end. However, I'm not happy with the end. Because on my 2 bottom 5s are 2 things about it. My last 2 bottom 5s. 1 is the rubber eyeball. And 2 is Seth barfing.
It's a great gift.
Now, here's the thing. That's probably true. Now, here's the thing with the rubber eyeball. Is I wish that they had gone and brought in like Tom Savini to have at least Rey Mysterio. Like they could have done it like this, right? Seth is pushing the eye on a fucking step and he screams, "Get off me, get off." And he's going down and he's like, "It's out, it's out." And have him turn around with his hands down and just be like, "Ah!" with a Tom Savini dangling eyeball. Just gnarly, and then have him collapse and hold his eye. Just for a second or two. And before the match even comes on, put up a parental warning. You know what I mean? Don't let kids watch this match. It's going to be gruesome. And you go, oh shit, this is crazy. But they went the kid route on it, where they put a little prop rubber eye underneath Ray's hand. And you're like, okay, that's cool, I get it. But it felt a little too protective. And I didn't like the puke bit. I didn't even mind the puke happening initially, but I didn't like any replay of it after. They blur out in black and white every time someone bleeds, but they're going to fucking leave this colorized fucking vomit? Not a fan.
It does. This match needed color and not throw up color. It needed, like, if you're going to do something like this where you're going to, like, have it be an eye for an eye match, which inherited, we're saying, like, we're going to remove a vital organ, blood. We're gonna have a bloody match, It just felt weird. I think it was a fantastic match for what it was, which was a bunch of set pieces of, I'm gonna try and fuck your eyeball up. Like, I'm gonna run you into the end of a kendo stick.
Yeah, so I thought that was great. Weird, all that stuff was great. Yeah. But then they had that rubber fucking kid's eye.
Yeah, no, that was weird as hell.
Or you about to say, producer?
I'll let Klump go.
Okay, go ahead, Klump.
No, it was just weird.
Yeah, producer?
I think, we kind of have to remember the time that we're in is just such a challenging time creatively, and that people are asking for things that are different. They don't want to see match after match after match. They'll say that's boring. This is what we see all the time. And this was definitely different.
Hell yeah. Dorkchop says in the chat, the end of this match was the definition of carny. 100%. Totally different, but I do agree that this should have been slightly more violent in the end. Even if they blurred out stuff for every replay afterwards, but just showed a flash of this dangling eye. Just like 2 frames before the camera just drops away or some shit. You know what I mean?
They could have just borrowed a prop from Charles Robinson, probably.
Yeah. Just go in, get gnarly with it, put blood all over his hand, but his hand was largely not bloody, which Granted, there's actually not a lot of blood in the eyeball area. And when Vader had his eyeball popped out and he just thumbed it the fuck back in, he didn't have a bunch of blood going on. He was more bruised than anything. But for horror show's sake, make it a little gross, man. Why is the big gross factor in an eye versus an eye match? A guy puking. It should be the eyeball.
Yeah. Plus, like, there's not a lot of blood in your eye, but there's a lot of, like, face injuries and head injuries bleed like a motherfucker. Like, this would have been a good shot, like, especially if you're pre-taping and we know you're pre-taping, like, this would have been a chance, like, if not doing it this way, have Seth, like, hit Rey with something heavy. And then you have Rey on the ground and you can see his face fill up, his mask is split, and you can see, like, nasty-ass bruising and bleeding, you know, like, when you see a boxer get hit, like,
yeah, I'm saying he could have been facing away from the camera and turned around and clearly had a huge makeup job done by somebody from fucking, like, Tom Savini's camp, Bray Wyatt's guy, and, like, just be looking gross.
Yeah, Jason Baker.
Jason Baker. Dorkchop says the match itself was good, too. I just such a weird finish. Just don't even do the stip. Which I think if you do the stip, you go all the way. You don't back out and just be like, all right, this is an eye out, but it's fine. Like,
cool, even with like a pool of blood on the ground would have been enough to like kind of signal to me.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of blood in the eye, so.
Well, what are you gonna do?
But I thought it was great. The match itself was great, and I thought that they were doing a good job of wearing each other down, looking good, looking like fighters, doing weird, gnarly shit to try to get that to the eye. But at the end, Seth is, like, scared of what he's done. He starts puking. Rey is just holding it. And I think that it would be, I don't know, it would have been kind of fucking cool, especially if Rey, who was, like, freaking out about it, got pissed. What if he got pissed and went right up to Seth and was like, look what you did? You know what I mean? And have Seth puke then. You know what I mean? I think you could have gone further with it, and I think that the holding back on it and keeping it a kids-looking thing, which I don't often say. I know a lot of people go, oh, WWE's for kids and AEW's for adults. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. But I do think that the finish on this came off a little childish.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dorkchop does say 5-Head Plays do Halloween show in July. Don't know what that means. Fabtina says, I saw a bunch of Halloween stuff at my local grocery store. Was so confused. Klump, what were you going to say?
I'm gonna say, like, I'm like trying to like look. I'm looking for. There's a match, a boxing match between a guy named Bato Jack, where he's getting hit in the face a lot, and he basically his face is swelling up, and he gets hit, and it causes a contusion right between his eyes.
Ugh.
And the ref, everyone is fucking covered in blood. It doesn't have to be that bad, but like. That if you're gonna do that, because to me throwing up is more childish or more gross than anything else. Yeah, I agree with you. Go all in and have it be this way, where like, Rey gets fucked up, have his mask get ripped, have it become a knockdown, drag out fight for this because it should be, and have it be something like, whoa, fuck, you know?
Yeah, it should have been a little further. Huh?
I think we were expecting like cool horror show. Like cool, scary movie, and they kind of gave us, like, I don't know, cheesy.
Yeah, this was more Goosebumps and less a more American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, let's see.
So that's pretty much it for horror show.
That's all I had for Extreme Rules, other than, so a lot of people were saying they're confused by the finishes. I don't know who Universal Champ is. I don't know who the US Champ is. I don't know who the Raw Women's Title Champ is. And it's like, I felt like this pay-per-view was never designed to be a blow-off pay-per-view. This was always designed to be, how do we get more story to build to SummerSlam?
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that, 100%, you don't have clean finishes. You have schmazzes. You get 98 with it, and you get gnarly, but I wish they were just a little bit more gnarly on some of that stuff. But I loved the sloppy finishes for the most part. And that brings us. Anything else you want to talk about with Raw or with Extreme Rules?
Yeah, let's jump into SmackDown, or so jump into Raw.
Yeah, let's get into Raw. There's only 3 things I had written down about it, and one of them I'll knock out right away. The Hurt Business, MVP, Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin being in a faction, I'm really excited for.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. I feel like it's giving some focus to, it's giving spotlight to Shelton Benjamin, which is awesome. It's making Bobby Lashley actually look like a character, and MVP is fantastic, you know?
Yeah. Let's see in the chat. MVP is so good. People hate him, but I love it. Oh, yeah. I think he's fantastic, and I think he's the best thing for those guys right now. Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley were clearly floundering, and I think that an MVP gives them a level of credibility that's actually really surprising because you wouldn't think they would need it, but it turns out they definitely do. Dork Joseph's MVP has been the MVP of Raw, unironically. And it's true, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been producing, he's been cutting the promos, he's been doing interviews, he's been doing wrestling matches, he's fucking, what is he not doing?
Yeah.
Was he on commentary once? Probably.
I don't remember seeing commentary.
I don't know, I'm just saying that wouldn't surprise me. He's been absolutely phenomenal, and I was not much of an MVP fan when he was there, like his first run, but largely because I wasn't really watching. But when he came back, even I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that guy. Watching him now, I'm like, oh shit, this guy's different level. Like, he's fantastic. So I love that they're putting these guys around him, and hopefully they can learn a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that. Otherwise,
did you not have much to talk about on this one? Because I got 2 things.
Not same. I mean, Mustafa Ali coming back was really cool. I liked
cool.
it.
Yeah.
Glad they gave him back Mustafa.
One thing in this goes into Extreme Rules too, but this. So, how do you feel about the rumor that the reason that Apollo Crews is out is because he has COVID-19?
I think that that's definitely a rumor.
Yeah. Because part of it is that I've heard it like a lot, and my thought is like it's weird that we, like, if it were a neck injury thing, I feel like we would have heard something prior. It just felt weird the way that they put, like, yeah, he's hurt, you know?
Yeah, it could be anything.
Also,
he could have lost his mom. I don't fucking know. I'm saying that they do injury angles for a lot of different reasons. He could have had a surgery. I don't know. And the only people I see really feeding into that rumor are fans who think they know everything and dirt sheets who try to guess everything. And it's really easy to guess COVID right now. And it could very well be COVID. He might have it. I don't know.
Or I think a lot of people are also forgetting that he could just be playing it safe. What if he came into contact with someone that has it and just wants to be safe? Like, I'm hoping that they're taking those kinds of precautions.
He might just be quarantining just because he found out a cousin of his has it and he saw his cousin 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I don't fucking know. None of us know, so we need to stop pretending that we can guess it. It's a really easy guess. It might be true. It might be nothing even close to the truth. I don't know. We've also seen them use an injury angle with Apollo before.
Yeah.
He got pulled out of Money in the Bank because of a fake injury. Maybe they're trying to do this to pull it through. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's really easy for us to say, not on TV, must have COVID. That's an easy thing to say. I don't think it doesn't have to be the most truthful thing to say. So I don't like to feed into those types of rumors because I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. From the outside looking in, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Could he have sprained an ankle? Maybe. Maybe his dog died. He wanted to have a week off. Maybe. Maybe a family member's going through some shit and he needs to help them move. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why people disappear from TV for 2 weeks. So I think it's easy to say COVID. No fucking idea. I think it's an interesting story right now nonetheless. And I think that if they do this really cool, we could end up with like a badass ladder match at SummerSlam.
Yeah. I get that.
That's my thought. I want to see the U.S. title above the ring. I want MVP, Apollo Crews, and someone else. I want a triple threat. Maybe like a Cedric or a Ricochet.
Yeah. Mustafa.
You know? Maybe a Mustafa.
I hate the new universe. I hate the new U.S. title.
What did it ever do to you?
It is the ugliest fucking title I've ever seen.
It's not the ugliest fucking title you've ever seen.
It is the ugliest fucking
title. No, put it side by side with TNT and tell me that shit's uglier. I'm not saying it's the nicest title.
It's uglier to me than Jeff Hardy's dog shit title in TNA.
That was a weird looking title.
It is the ugliest fucking title to me. It's just, I'm like, it looks like it was designed by the people who make Affliction clothing.
Oh, Aaron M. Marsh just became a 3-month subscriber. He's got a little Intercontinental Championship next to his name now. I hope he notices. He says do an ankle versus ankle match. What?
Ugliest title ever.
It's definitely not the ugliest title ever. I don't know if it's the best design ever. The first picture I saw of it. Oh, here's the thing too, Klump. You fuck. That's why this came up. Because you fucking avoided us for several weeks. Including the birthday show that was our shared birthday show. Your birthday and mine. And you were absent. We had a whole fucking breakdown of the U.S. title.
Yeah.
I had a party to be at. I'm kidding.
You're like, I had to finish that bowl of cereal. Let's see. Aaron says the IC belt is beautiful. Dorchap says nothing's uglier than Jeff Hardy title. Absolutely nothing. He's deleting the Klump command right now. So the command that says Klump's right a lot of the time is disappearing now. Matter of fact, the Klump command should be a response that just says you clumped up, you clumped up, you clumped up. You know what I mean? Kind of like the chant.
It should just be shut the fuck up, Klump.
Yeah, right? Klump. God damn it, Klump. So the U.S. title, the first couple pictures that came out of the U.S. title and when they first showed it on air was a horrible angle. But as you get pictures of it like close up and more detailed, you're like, okay, I could see the design and why someone saw it and said it's beautiful. I can understand that. It's not my favorite design ever, but I don't think it's hideous. I also think it's really funny that someone did a fan design where they brought the word champion down to the bottom. They brought the stripes up and they colored the stars, or they colored behind the stars blue.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks 1,000 times nicer. It looks fucking perfect. And you go, oh yeah, it's exactly what it should look like.
Yeah.
There it is. We have a new Klump command in the chat. I'm going to do it once.
Okay.
Klump. Boom. But it's not hideous. I mean, there's some awful pictures of it, but I mean, when you look at it, it's not awful. One of the first thing I saw about it that made me go, okay, I really like that, was the logo for the WWE was so tiny. Loved that because so many of their titles is just a giant fucking logo.
I was half expecting it to be the WWE logo as a flag.
Yo, there was people who were putting out like, oh, this is what it's going to look like. And it was just the same WWE championship as the women's and the men's and all that, but with a flag painted strap behind it. Let's see. Aaron says they should paint it and never talk about it. And Dorkchef says, personally, I dig the newest title. And, honestly, I do too. The more I look at it and look at the replica versus the older one, I was really hesitant to get rid of the older one just because I really liked that design. Even the IC, which is such a classic design, I was so ready for that to move into a different look because I thought it was almost too classic. Like it was branching into too many eras. And I do think that the belts should signify something. Like for me, my favorite world title of all time is the Big Eagle. Because I think of Bret Hart holding it. I think of the Boyhood Dream coming true. I think of Hulk Hogan coming down. I think of Ultimate Warrior winning it. You know what I mean? I think of Andre the Giant fucking buying it. Like, I think of those matches. I think of The Undertaker getting it for the first time. When I think of Stone Cold, I don't think of the Big Eagle. I think of the Smoking Skull. I think of the big blue one. I think that titles should represent their eras. You know what I mean? Like, when I think of John Cena holding a title, I mostly think of the spinner belt. There was that other one that The Rock had right after that said champion with like an Attitude Era logo. Okay. And it kind of evolved into what we have now. But like when I think of women's champions, when I think of like Mickie James, I think of that old women's champion title.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I think of Becky Lynch, I think of like SmackDown and Raw. Like, I think of champions when I think of titles, and I think that the IC was around too long.
I think of, like, when I think of the WWE belt, I think of the Undisputed belt, which I think is my favorite belt. The
Undisputed was amazing looking. I love that title. I think of Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar immediately.
Yes, exactly. No, I love that belt. I love the big gold belt. That's, like, amazing. I think of Triple H.
Yeah.
I think of Ric Flair. I think of
Dusty
Goldberg.
Rhodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Goldberg, Hogan, Nash, Bret Hart again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But no, I really hate this U.S. belt. And it's just me. I mean, it's just like it might be the lighting, because when I saw it, I'm looking at it now and I can see the colors to it. When I saw it on MVP, I'm like, it was just gold and silver looking. Like, that looked so shitty.
Of the U.S. title?
Yeah, it just, like, I couldn't, the shot I saw, I couldn't see any of the colors to the belt. It just looked like gold and silver.
Oh,
that looks tacky as fuck.
Yeah, no, with the color, it looks a little nicer. And that's why I think it looks so nice when someone did a version of it where, like I said, there's blue behind the stars, and it looks even better. That title looks so good with colors in it. But, yeah, the first few shots just look like a bland gold plate. You're like, what the fuck? Yeah. Let's see. Dork Chop talks about even the new IC title. There's a few versions out there where they put color behind the globe and made it blue. And it looks so good. And I've seen it, and he posted it in there, and it's amazing. It looks so good. I think a little bit of color splash in these titles is so important, and I don't think it gets enough play. Aaron thinks of Sting when he thinks of the big gold. Dork Chop, just a pop of color helps a lot. Aaron's pissed we omitted Sting. Man, he never fucking held a title. He held a bat. There's only two other things. Was there anything you specifically want to talk about, Rod, or want me to get into these two things?
Let's jump into your two things.
All right, so one of them is RKO versus Big Show. How fucking good was this match?
It was decent. I was surprised Big Show could go like that. It was okay.
Yeah. And it was emotional, and it was captivating, and it was really fucking slow, because you don't need to do a whole bunch of shit to tell a great story. How awesome was the selling that Randy Orton was doing? Big Show did that fucking Vader bomb off the ropes and into a table. He doesn't do that all the time because he doesn't need to, because when he does it, it means something. I thought this was such a fucking teachable match. Watch this match and realize that there's a lot to be said for slowing things down, because the story is told between the moves, not in the moves. And I think that this match really highlighted that. One of the things that made Randy Orton selling so much so good is you don't see him sell that much. And even on commentary, they're like, when's the last time you see Randy Orton look like he's in this much trouble? Yeah, not a lot. Because like we said before, you can't book everyone to be competitive, because then when you're finally at your wit's end, it's not as compelling. With Randy Orton, watching Big Show really get the best of him for a while, you're like, oh shit, we don't see this much. Big Show's a badass. Like, Big Show looked like a mean motherfucker in that match. We haven't seen him, And then even Big Show tossing around Garza and Andrade for the last couple of weeks made sense. And then they came out and interfered. But he looked strong, and you remembered what a badass he was. So Randy Orton beating the Big Show in some random one-off in 5 minutes wouldn't have meant much. But having a few weeks of Big Show coming out and asserting his dominance and reminding you that he's a big fucking giant who can do stuff. When you see him take Randy Orton to his limit, and you see Randy Orton just cowering in pain almost, folded over, you go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
From like a slap or a punch. And you go, oh, shit. Like, a punch to the stomach to Randy Orton made me go, oh, shit. Because the way he crumbled. It didn't have to be 600 flips off the top rope into a Canadian Destroyer, into a suplex, into a Northern Lights. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't have to be 4 moves tied into one. It was punch. It was how it was delivered and the story that brought us there. It was fantastic. It was amazing.
I agree with that. No, I think I was not wanting to be excited for this, and when I watched it, I was like, okay, this is great. I was expecting to be like, okay, slow Big Show get butt kicked by Randy, but I was like, oh shit, this is cool. I'm happy with this. I like this a lot. You guys did this well pacing wise.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
and
I was really impressed by it personally because I agreed with you. I was like, oh, is this going to be another like Christian match? Orton just comes out, does his thing. But even Big Show kicking out of one RKO was huge because no one's been kicking out of the RKO for years. You know, it made Big Show look like a fucking force, and it made the end of that match mean even more.
Yeah. What was your other big thing?
The last thing I had, because it sounds like you fucking are not on board with RKO and Big Show running a school, was Kairi Sane. Is she done?
She is. Evidently, she is.
Has that been made official?
Let's see. Real quick in the chat, Dork Chop showing the white strap on the new IC belt, and it looks great. He's a sucker for the white one. The white straps on the titles. Aaron Marsh says Randy Orton selling out of nowhere. Dork Chop saying Orton's been top class since Rumble. 100% agree. And Aaron says, yeah, Big Show's chest slaps look intense. And you know what's crazy about that too is I get super annoyed at Chops because I think that it's like some petty fucking pay your dues bullshit. But then to watch Big Show do a couple to Orton, you go, oh shit. Like, this isn't just a dude pushing around a younger talent. These are dudes telling a story with this, and this slap means something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, so I've only seen a few rumors. I haven't seen anything super official, but I did see a ton of people on social media, including talent, talking about, like, their Kairi Sane appreciation. Two things. If this was her last match, which, by the way, it looks like it's leading in. We're getting Sasha Banks next week against Asuka for a Raw Women's title match, which was sanctioned by Stephanie. I thought it was perfect. I just wish it was dragged out a little bit more. We'll see where the story goes. But it was Bayley versus Kairi. Kairi looked fucking phenomenal. Got the win over Bayley. Bayley took some crazy bumps, which I was not expecting. And Kairi was like emotional afterwards, and they even showed her backstage like crying in their Instagram story, and there's all these like thank you Kairi things. What do we know and what is rumor? Because I guess she's potentially going back to Japan for an undisclosed amount of time.
We don't know a lot. We don't know really anything because nothing's been official. What's been rumored is that evidently she got married earlier this year to a person who's a talent in Japan, and she wants to go back. And that it's an amicable split, it's nothing bad, but she's going to head back to Japan, and evidently some of the rumors say that she wants to retire, that she wants to have a family and stuff, and, you know, kind of move beyond wrestling in Japan. That's the rumor.
Gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Also,
Who's she with out there?
I thought it was Evil, but I don't know.
No, I think it's Io. I think Io's with Evil.
Yeah. Also, Show's chest slaps was censored for me.
Really? That's disgusting, dude.
Right,
That's how perverted you are.
You know you can change the settings, right? If you click the little.
No, it makes me happier.
It's pretty good.
We've said this every time. It makes me giggle.
Yeah. I do like that you are so disgusting on your own phone that it sees the word chest slap and it goes, don't show him that.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
That's going to trigger him.
Don't know who she is in relationship with, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild. I mean, if it is the whole thing, I mean, the rumors I saw were similar. Yeah, she's going to be done. She wants to go back to Japan. And I also wonder how much of this is a response to COVID in and of itself, with travel being the way that it is at this point. Mm-hmm. Maybe the idea of potentially living apart isn't as easy as it used to look.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe that's all. Go ahead.
I could understand that because, you know, it's... You, after a while, get... I think, I mean, even for us, it's been hard to like kind of be a part as a part. It's just, it's weird. So I could understand it. I can't fault that person. Yeah, go
Oh, for
be
sure.
with family. Um, Beyond the fact that, like, imagine the additional stacking of, like, you've been living in the US and so much of your family and friends and, you know, what makes you you is across the world. And yeah, it was hard to get there. Yeah, you wouldn't go there every week, but you could go there. You're
Yeah.
making enough money, you can go there every once in a while. But now you can't even do that without these extra things. I can understand wanting to leave.
Yeah, and especially with NJPW having the limited schedule that it typically has, could have been like, hey, when you're not actually doing your NJPW stuff or whatever promotion her husband is in, you come with me in Florida. You know what I mean? Like, you hit the road with me for a few months and then go back. You know what I mean? Like, Japan is pretty cyclical that way. So I could see where that was the case before. And at this point, there's all like, travel isn't just going to be that way anymore. You know what I mean? Where that could potentially be a thing. Now, again, just like Dorkchop points out, we don't know anything. This is all speculation. No one knows for sure, and we definitely do not know for sure. La Leyenda says, I thought that was done. Still hasn't been announced. That's why they supposedly brought Shayna to be part of the angle. Maybe. I agree with Miss Fabtina. If so, it was such a great last match. I agree. I do wish she got her last match with Asuka like it looked like she wanted. But, hey, it's storytelling, man. Sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. Let's see. La Leyenda says, but decided against it the same day. Fabtina, she looks so strong, especially after being tossed like a rag doll by Nia and Charlotte. That's the other thing, too. She's been looking like shit with Nia and Charlotte for a while there, so it was nice to see her have a couple matches with Sasha and Bayley to make her look really good on the way out. And, I mean, if that is her last match and she gets that win, then you know it's amicable. I also think it still helps Bayley's story because she is a piece of shit heel who can lose at any given day, where a lot of like the babyface champions, it's always all like, oh yeah, someone can always get the better of you on any given night. But with a really good heel, it's you can lose on any night because you have to cheat every night to win. And this just kind of further solidifies that from the Bayley standpoint of, yeah, she couldn't beat Kari. She had to cheat to beat everybody else. She, quote, doesn't deserve to be the champion. So I think it actually helps the story as well. So it's not one of those things where it's all like a win for no reason or burying somebody needlessly or anything like that. I think everybody wins in that. You let Kari leave looking strong against your champion. You have the champion looking like she could lose at any moment, so people get invested in that. And I think that if that was really it, then that was kind of a nice way to go.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think it was done in the best way it could have been done.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. And maybe hopefully this is a talent we'll see more of in the future. But
I think that would be really cool.
Year.
Can you imagine in like 2 years or some shit, or 3 years, Asuka's doing something, she's getting attacked by 4 fucking horsewomen, and all of a sudden Kari Sane's music hits? People would go ballistic. Fucking lose it.
Be crazy hell.
It'd be nuts. So, I mean, I hope, and if she does stay in Japan and does stuff, then I hope that she gets paired up with some good talent to where we hear about it. I mean, it's funny. If you've watched us since the beginning, I mean, we've had almost 1.5 years of episode 1. If you've watched episode 1 from episode 1, edition 1, I have not been kind to Kari for a good chunk of the time. And it wasn't until she became a Kabuki warrior that I really started turning around on her. Yep. And I 100% ever since then, every single time I've seen her, it's been better and better. And
I think you didn't care for her gimmick.
I hated the gimmick. And I hate the pirate thing. I hated everything about the pirate thing. I hated how cutesy she was. And what I liked about the pirate, or about the Kabuki Warriors, is she still got to do a little bit of the cutesy stuff that people liked her for, but she also got to turn up that serious level.
Yeah, she got to be a badass.
She came off as a badass, where with a pirate, she came off as a cutesy girl playing wrestle, and I didn't like it. But she got to be a badass as a Kabuki Warrior who happened to be kind of cute about stuff. And that was cool. I felt like everybody won.
Yeah. Well, I have the car visor too. So now,
Oh yeah.
Now it's gonna be a bummer going to my car.
You're gonna go to your car and just cry. Let's see. Dork Chop made a code in there that says, yes, this is our first show. Every show is our first show. And if you have a question about that, you can always hit up the chat and just hit !first to know. Aaron Marsh says, it's shocking how accurate the internet rumors are. He goes, I love her. I love pirates. And that's fair. The thing about the internet rumors, the reason they're always right is when they're wrong, they say, well, they changed their mind. And you go, oh, well, it sounds like they're right again. Not a big fan of all those internet rumors. So we try not to feed into that stuff too much, but we do try to feed ourselves tons of booze. Klump, it sounds like you're at the end of your cup there. I heard you slurping.
Water.
Sparkling water. Let's see. Aaron says she's like Pippi Longstocking with an elbow drop.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't know if I could argue it too much. I think that we are... Is there anything else about Raw you wanted to bring up?
I liked Ruby Riot's win.
Yes.
Ruby Riot getting a win for the first time in 2020 is fantastic, and I hope it's an upswing. Yep. Man, Ruby... And that's the other thing, too, about the whole Naomi deserves better. No one's saying Ruby deserves better. That's not a big fucking hashtag. I just don't understand what people push when they push it. That's all I'm saying. Obviously, we love Naomi. We want the best for her. We want the best for a lot of these talent. Really excited to see Ruby Riot get a win, and I hope that we get ourselves to a Ruby working her way all the way up to a women's title match. And she deserves it.
And we saw Peyton as a singles.
Peyton coming out without Billie Kay. Amazing.
Yeah.
They need to get rid of Billie Kay.
What?
I know it's going to get me heat, but I'm not a big fan of Billie Kay at all. Let's see. I think on that note, Raw, I think, was my favorite show of the week. It had the most stuff that made me go, oh, cool. And I think that that's because Extreme Rules led into it so well. Mm-hmm. I think that Bayley Sasha was the highlight of Extreme Rules. I think seeing all of our favorite people who got fired show up at Slammiversary is great for the business, and I'm excited to see what they do. I think AEW sweeped NXT as far as reasons to watch last week. And we'll see what they do this week. Klump?
I have a bottom for Raw.
What do you have?
I agree with that.
Hold on. Producer's got a bottom real quick. Someone to throw in there.
Street Profits are back, and I'm just not interested in them whatsoever. I'm always just disappointed when I see them acting just as goofy and over the top, and it doesn't even make me interested to watch the match. Like, I completely tuned out and just started playing on my phone.
Yeah, I was not interested in them.
No bottom.
I think that... I mean, those are my takes on the cool parts of the week. Klump, you got anything you want to cheers to?
I think a cheers to Kairi Sane.
I agree. I think if this is the last time we see Kairi Sane, if this is Kairi Sane's last call, then it was a hell of a run. We really want to see you back. We want to see you do whatever you want to do. Thank you, Kairi Sane. That's last call. This is Wrestling on the Rocks. You can find us at WrestlingOnTheRocks.com. You can find us on Twitter at WOTR The Show. You can find us, all of our links on WrestlingOnTheRocks.com.
Our old ones on YouTube. Subscribe.
We got the YouTube for the archive. We got Pro Wrestling Tees for the shop. But all the links are on WrestlingOnTheRocks.com. Check us out. We'll see you guys next week. That's last call.
Cheers. See you, dudes.